Do you have too much cushion in your push? Do you suffer from too much traction and action while you're thrashing and bashing at the late night smashing? Try Manscraper. Manscraper is for the manly man. Sure, you can get little kid trimmers from the competitors as they daintily dance around your third arm and muckles. Manscaped is for a different beast. It's for dudes from another brood who didn't politely need to clip but need to hedge trim like they leg-choked Wilt Chamberlain in the glory years. Using our patent-pending 15-horsepower chipper shredder with advanced gonad alert technology, we can promise you the best shave you're ever going to get. And with Manscaped 2.0, there's approximately 12% less chance of injury. For only $499.99, you can get the Manscraper. 4 plastic bags for collecting your work and a 6-ounce container of aloe vera. If you order now, we'll also throw in the Demansculator. If you have nose thunder, down under, or just need a good washing, just hang our 4.2-pound Demansculator from your junk. Why shower when you can power through the hour, smelling like a tower of flowers? The Demansculator gives your wrinkled boys the washing of a lifetime, certified to pass any antibacterial test for 6 months after use. Current research shows no impact on fertility. And last but not least, if you order now, we're going to throw in a little Gorilla Glue, because once you're done, you can make a beard out of all the leftovers. I mean, who doesn't want to dress up for Halloween, right? Why let all that good go to wasting? Manscaped, shaving your man grapes like you deserve. And if you join our Patreon now, you can join our photo collection group, where you can send in no, don't send me in nudes. Seriously, don't. No, I don't want to leave it because I'm sure somebody's going to be out there going, hey man, I'll send in some nudes after I wash my skunk. But anyway, Manscaped. Don't join the Patreon just to send nudes, but join the Patreon if you want to. Manscaped. If you want nuts so clean you can eat off them. Manscaped. We haven't killed anybody yet. We've been clipping what you've been dipping since porn wasn't shorn and everyone looked like ivy and thorns. This video sponsor is Manscraper. Do you have too much cushion in your push? Do you suffer from too much traction and action while you're thrashing and bashing at the late night smashing? Try Manscraper. Manscraper is for the manly man. Sure, you can get little kid trimmers from the competitors as they daintily dance around your third arm and muckles. And boom. Sup, everybody? This is Karak with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny, Reg, and Silver, and our guest of the week, the immensely talented Gene Park from the Washington Post. He's here to give us a little bit of credibility, finally. You know, like finally somebody who knows what the hell they're talking about is on the podcast. So I appreciate everybody showing up. I certainly appreciate Gene. He isn't feeling exactly as chipper as normal because he's got the long COVID, not even the normal COVID, the normal COVID plus long. So yes, I definitely appreciate it, Gene.
I got COVID game plus. That's what it is.
Exactly.
Man.
New game plus version of COVID.
Yeah. I wanted to write because I beat Assassin's Creed Valhalla finally during having long COVID, and like, man, playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla is like having long COVID. You know?
Yeah.
Like it just like keeps going and going. You forget what you're doing, where you are, and then sooner or later you just lose all the sense of taste.
Yep.
You don't know what tastes good or anything like that. You just keep going. That's it.
Valhalla is one of the few that I feel, man, dude, I liked Origins a lot.
I love the game. I love Valhalla too.
Oh, do you? Okay, because
I really, really enjoy it, but it's just really fucking long. That's all. So.
Yeah, a lot of enjoyment, I guess. But
yeah,
for me, Valhalla was the only one that I had a hard time on that one. I liked it, but I bounced off of it more than usual. I think it's because they showed Vikings, Gene, and sometimes it didn't feel like you were fighting as Vikings. It felt like it was just Odyssey, but with Viking clothes on.
Yeah, because when you kill somebody during a raid, they're like, you shouldn't kill anybody. And I'm like, but I'm raiding as a Viking.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. What are you going to do? Go out there and be like diplomatic?
Yeah.
We'll trade you.
I'm
some
sorry,
milk
there
for
was a stray hammer and it hurt a monk.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna be like all Spider-Man and worry about it. You know, like
right. What are you gonna do? Crouch against a wall like a little bitch? It's a raid.
Yeah, it's a raid. You guys are stupid enough to be here, and I'm walking through you. Foul play, $20 super chat. Holy crap, we have color. Buy lotto tickets, everyone. I did tell everybody that we'd finally get silver back in color. It's funny because it's much easier to do black and white, but I was trying to color match us to post the podcast. And when one person's in black and white, everybody else is in color. I got it all set, hit render, and then looked at silver, and it looked like just a ghost, just a white face going like, ooh. So I was like, dude, you gotta do color from now on. Thanks for the super chats, peeps. I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. We've got a bunch to cover, so we're going to jump in right away. First, I'm going to ask people what they've been playing. Some people here are under NDAs, so we may say a game. It just depends on what we can say. So we'll go with Gene first. What are you playing that you can talk about?
Yeah, right now I am playing Horizon Forbidden West. I am under embargo, so I literally can't say anything else other than, people will be writing about it on Valentine's Day. I'm not doing the lead review on this one, but I'll be talking to some Guerrilla Games folks and writing about it more in the future. Other than that, though, last night I also played Pokemon Legends Arceus or whatever. I haven't watched.
Cool.
I haven't been watching the trailers or anything like that, so I have no idea what's going on. But it's a new Pokemon game and it's a new format, so definitely wanted to try it out. It's great.
Oh,
it looks ugly as hell, but it's great. So
is it ugly? It's
all right. I mean, like I've been playing Pokemon for so long, so like it looks fine for me. By modern standards, yeah, it is pretty ugly. It is actually better looking than Monster Hunter Stories 2 on the Switch, actually.
Oh, interesting.
It actually performs better than that game. I think Stories 2 had more detail, but Pokemon it just runs a lot better. It runs pretty good, actually.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Reg, you said you agreed with that, so you own it, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I do. Although just in the opening 5 minutes or so, I already had frame rate drops, so I wouldn't necessarily agree with running that well.
Well, yeah, I mean, like it's not like Sword and Shield, like that's what I was saying. I was like, it's like 25, 20.
Oh,
It's
true, that was really bad.
It has Switch performance.
Yes, it's Switch performance. So I definitely on a grading curve there. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And apart from that, Expeditions Rome was what I was playing. A couple hours into that so far.
What do you think about that?
Like it. What I played so far, the turn-based strategy is not super in-depth where I am in the first couple hours, but I expect that to still grow.
Okay. What about you, Johnny?
So I finished the season 3 of Walking Dead Telltale.
Oh, gotcha.
Which was really the weak point. I think season 3 so far has been like a weak point.
Mhm.
Clementine no longer being the central protagonist. They introduce new people that I really just can't, give a crap about. So that was a bit unfortunate. Still okay, but just not at the level. And also been playing quite a bit of League of Legends and actually Genshin for the first time. A friend got me into it, and it looks really nice. It has really nice music. It actually surprised me a lot.
Beautiful music.
Beautiful music in it. And just really nice as an armchair game where I can sit back and play on the PS5, just chill. It has been actually quite nice.
Very cool. Real quick, I'm going to read the super chat. Gibbertron says, ACG, before I buy a game, I'll watch your objective reviews. I want to thank you for your honesty. My favorite review channel. Thanks, bro. From KC, it sounds like.
I read that as KFC.
No, from KFC.
Of course you did.
That would make a lot of sense, though, especially for me talking about all the healthy food we eat. It's like, yeah, man, from KFC, directly from KFC. What about you, Silver? What have you been playing?
Mostly Hitman 3 again after it came to Steam. Playing through it again. Thinking about maybe finally getting some videos done again of some suit-only Silent Assassin playthroughs, like I did for Hitman 1 and Hitman 2. But also Expeditions Rome, like Reg. I might be a little further along in that. Enjoying it so far. For the most part, like the turn-based combat, I really am enjoying. It's a fresh take on it that I haven't really seen before. It uses hex-based grid, and you are free to take turns and actions between your characters when it's your turn in whatever order you see fit. So it basically encourages you to synergize, set up your characters in order to synergize their actions and their abilities together into powerful combinations to take down enemies quickly, which is really, really interesting. And there's also the strategic element to it, which I am much less impressed with. This, like the strategic battles, it's not quite evident how the choices you make in the battle actually affect the outcome of the battle. It can be very, very murky what effects they actually have, and basically the graphic representation of the battles are basically just these icons bumping up against each other. It reminds me a lot of old Championship Manager when you went to to watch the games that you were directing, and it was basically just these sort of circles running around the soccer pitch, bumping up against each other. As the graphical representation, only here they don't even really move; they just go up against each other like that all the time. Like it's it's not great, but there's still enough there in terms of the story and the tactical gameplay to keep me hooked. For now, it's set in a really, really interesting period of the Roman Republic that doesn't get mentioned a lot, which is during the Mithridatic Wars, basically in the wake of Sulla's dictatorship. So and at the rise of a lot of very, very interesting people in Roman history, such as Pompey and Caesar.
Cool. Anything else?
So yeah. No, that's mainly it.
All right. Looks like in chat we're getting some God of War. Everybody's surprised Silver's in color. Mass Effect Legendary Edition. A lot of people, this is their first try. This is one of the reasons why when I review, I do try to review from both sides if you played the games and if you haven't, because it's been crazy. It's been so exciting to see a bunch of people playing Mass Effect for the first time and not have that cloying hatred for number one that Silver has, where I'm just joking. But
yeah,
a lot of people do have issues with number one, and but it's cool to see people experiencing that for the first time, and now they're finally understanding like why I talk about it all the time, or the music. Yeah, I had people being like, "Oh, now because I think I rated as a joke 6 years later the best music of that year was Mass Effect 1, like which was 10 years prior or whatever," and people were like, "Why are you saying that?" I'm like, "Dude, it's that good. Like it wins all the awards." Jack Wall did a fantastic job, and it was awesome. That's almost the game I've been playing most of the time, is just watching people respond to some of the weird reviews that we've got we got Extraction, which has hit it off from what I can tell. Like it is actually quite popular. I liked it, but I had some issues with it. But that game, I mean, almost everybody in our Discord's playing that. And then seeing like the response for these new games in February and what people are getting. There's a lot of back and forth of like, a lot of people don't have a lot of money. So it's, that's sort of been my game. I mean, I'm playing for Forbidden West and Dying Light. You can go check out my preview. No, you can't, because I had to take it down. But you could have went and checked my preview out of Dying Light 2. But I have like 6, 7, 8 games in my inbox, and at least 6 of them are huge, like the big games. And you're just looking at it going like, this is going to be great. I'm excited, man. February's gangbusters, and Gene's got it. You said you weren't the primary person who's going to review it, but you'll jump in and you're going to do an interview, it sounds like, maybe? You said?
For Horizon.
Awesome.
I got another game I'm playing right now that I'm on embargo that I can't mention. It's really, really fantastic. I can't wait to talk about it either. So nice. February's a banger of a month for sure. Yeah,
and I got the composers. Eliza Chuck, who did Dead Rising, works for Sony as, I believe he is he could be full-time, or he could just be a contractor on this game. I can't remember. But both him and Justin Bell from Obsidian, the two composers, and then the third one, they're all working together on one game, which is Horizon Zero Dawn. And so I'm going to do an interview after that game to talk to them. Yeah, I love to talk to the composers and be like, how much? Because sometimes they'll be like, I didn't have any game. Like they just said, emote into music. The idea of a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex with robot parts. And I can't wait to get them on, because Eliza Chuck has been a huge supporter of the channel. I mean, he's been around. He did movies, Dead Rising 4. I think that might have been his only game. And so for him to go back and work on this, super excited to see that. Let's see. King of Fighters XV. What's XV? Which number is that? That's
15.
15. Damn. I was alive when 1 came. Whatever. That's crazy. Valhalla's almost done, but I still need to beat the DLC. Okay.
Good luck.
Good luck. Good luck on that. That's going to be a while. Let's see. Best Gaming Podcast. Thank you very much. Jumping in on Elden Ring next month. Elden Ring. Playing a lot of Hitman. Prey. Prey's come up a bunch, too. I've noticed.
Good.
Been playing Dying Light to prepare for number 2, Ken says. All right. Playing Dying Light. Oh, Abdi says, Dying Light 1 gave me motion sickness. Hey, I did say something in my preview about them handling motion sickness. I was wrong on one thing, and I'll cover it, but I think what we're seeing now, especially, I have to cover it in the review, but I think what we're seeing now, especially for a lot of companies, is they are, with the accessibility, They're looking at motion sickness as a part of that. And Serious Sam also had like an actual auto button you could press. And I didn't press it. I set the settings myself, but there was some kind of like, I'm assuming it does a vignette, which helps you not get sick. I don't know, but it had an auto button for sickness as well. So I'd like to see more companies doing that, because Dying Light 1 made me sick too. Dying Light 1 had a lot of, I mean, you're doing parkour, you're flipping, you're like, diving on people. It's gonna look
the
weird.
whole like landing and doing a flip, that always gets you.
So I first want to ask Gene a couple questions here. These are people from the podcast and Twitter when I asked for questions. We had 70 questions. I only picked a couple because...
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. The first one, this is a question for Gene. Carlos32313 on Twitter. He says, how do you see the gaming landscape in a couple years? Do you see EA or Take-Two/Ubisoft still independent in their own way, or any new big players in the gaming scene?
Well, new players is going to be tough, other than like Tencent, right?
Or Embracer, maybe, though they're not new.
Exactly. I maybe EA will be alone. I wouldn't be surprised if Ubisoft ends up getting bought out. Mostly because it doesn't seem like that management company seems all that interested in games. Like they almost like wish like they were Konami. It feels like they're like we just want to make some money, man. Come on, and not to say that there's a lot of creative people. We're just talking about Valhalla and how much I liked it there. There's a lot of creative things going on at Ubisoft, but it just feels like the management feels like it sounds like to me that they just kind of want to get out.
But would they be interested in a buyout? Because Vivendi did try to buy them out, which didn't end well. Like they resisted that pretty heavily.
Oh yeah. I mean, maybe. I mean, who knows? Like that's the only thing I see coming down like the road. But otherwise, like I don't know. I definitely don't know if Sony's ever going to do anything at this magnitude. So
yeah. Jason Shamblin, also from Twitter, says, how does Gene feel that covering games at a major news outlet differs from doing so at a game-specific site or as an independent? What particular considerations does working at the Post entail for covering games?
It sucks because sometimes I have to write like in a general like news voice, so I have to like describe certain things. Like even if I'm talking about like an MMORPG, I have to kind of like quickly let people know there's a lot of people playing this game at the same time online. Like so little things like that. And I think the toughest thing is that like to get some respect around the room. People want to cover the arts, they want to cover the theater, they want to cover Broadway.
Yeah, right.
But they don't really see games as anything worthy. So I mean, that's why you see me on Twitter. I'm always boasting about every time my story gets like the top 5 most read stories on the Washington Post that day, because I want to like show everybody and show my bosses like, look, people are reading my stuff. People are really are interested in games. There was a report recently about the Washington Post worried about covering too much politics, and it's like, look, man, like I'm solving your problem right here, man.
Yeah, support the people who are fighting the actual issue you're bitching about. But
yeah, exactly,
doesn't happen. It's just I've found that out. I do want to read that. Somebody asks. Optimus Prime says, I miss ACG on Defining Duke's podcast. Rarely ever listen anymore without him. Well, you should be here. You should be here. And I'm on Iron Lords. I could be on Maddie's as well if he ever does. I don't know what he's doing right now. I think he stopped that one. He's doing that one, but he stopped his own. But at any time, yeah. You probably won't see me on a lot of podcasts, people. I mean, I do this one, and then, like, February, you're not going to see any. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is time I have to set aside months ahead of time. So, like, when somebody says, hey, do you want a code? I have to go, Friday.
It's all blocked.
At this
all your calendar.
And then my wife's like, are we going to walk the dogs? I'm like, Friday. And then Friday becomes Sunday. And I'm like, oh, shit. There's no time to do anything. It's a good thing that we have a very good drug supply coming in here. Just joking. For anybody who's wondering, I don't do drugs. But there's always a joke about it because I'm so energetic. So the next thing for Gene was Rich Park. First, I want to say that Gene stole my last name. But he's
Good
a great
name, strong name.
Yeah, strong name.
Strong.
He's a great writer, though, so I'm going to put him on my watch list for now. For Gene, how do you handle negativity personally in regards to a story you have written or been involved in? What do you do to move on?
I'm 40, so like I don't really have the same hangups as a lot of young journalists do in terms of like feeling like, you know, uh like having imposter syndrome or anything like that. I really don't care what other people think about my work, you know, for the most part. If it's wrong, then I feel awful, you know. But if it's not wrong, and I feel great about it, then, or even if it's an opinion that people disagree with, like I don't care. It doesn't matter. Like people can hate me all they want. Like life goes on. So that's not like good advice. People are always asking me for advice on how to get over it, and I'm just like, just keep being online and get used to it. You know, it's not great advice, you know. But that's just what I just have extremely thick skin, so I really don't care.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the best. I am too. Like, I'm over 40, and when I mean, like before I even got in to games, it's like fought cancer, been involved in crazy shit, and so when you get into games and somebody's like, "My platform's better than yours," you're like, "Dude, seriously?"
Yeah.
I'm lucky. Like, I've been trying to get. I was living in my car. Like, what, man? You need to read. That's a $60 game. Calm the fuck down. You know.
Like
Different priorities. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like I've had guns pulled on me. Like people telling me that my opinion sucks is like not gonna like make me lose sleep. So
yeah, yeah. And I do think it is good advice, even if at the minimum somebody hears you say that and knows that it does help later on. So that's one thing, especially like in martial arts, you see somebody who comes in, they don't know what to do ever. And they see a black belt and they want the leap. You know, they want to use a time slip and curve time into a curve so that they can jump between the two. And you're like, nah, man, it's a lot of hard work between those two things. But you can get there. And then, you know, continually helping them. And I know that we have a patron tier where it's like I spend a month with somebody. I'm like, these are the mistakes I made. Don't do them. These are the mistakes, you know, and no one helped me except for Total Biscuit. I was telling the guys that, you know, he and I had some back and forth about some stuff, and it was awesome, man. He reached out to me and he's like, "Oh,
that's cool." That's
yeah,
awesome.
he's like, "I'll help you out." And admittedly, I told these guys I felt a little bad because, you know, there had been some snippiness between us at times.
Yeah.
And he was the nicest guy in the world, and he reached out and helped me. No one else would. And so it's like, you should help people. I think that's very helpful for people to at least know at some point you'll probably be able to look back and go, it's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah. It just takes time, and you know, that you're right. Maybe it's just worth hearing that you're just gonna have to endure a lot of people for a while, but like just know that it's normal because people are rough, you know.
And what I think is, when you look at like what I view as the only real input in my life from the web is through this monitor. So when I turn it off, nothing exists out. Like, it's gone. There's no more input coming in. And I always tell people, if you're getting ready to send an email that's mad or a Twitter that's mad, maybe turn the monitor off, walk away, write it out. Just don't put the address in, because I've seen people do that too. Write whatever you want, or write whatever you want to write, and then walk away for 5-10 minutes, maybe an hour, and go. Like, is this?
And just think about it. Yeah.
Am I winning something? Because if you're not winning something from what you say, if you're not, you know, if there's not something that you're dramatically getting from it, it may not be worthwhile. You know.
Yeah.
We have a super chat from Swamp Walker. Sup, guys? Wolverine developed by Insomniac, KOTOR, PS exclusive, and getting Spider-Man back in the MCU. Do you think Sony and Disney merge for film and games? I mean, I think. Go ahead.
They have a good partnership going on with Insomniac. And you know, God bless Insomniac that they just keep making so many games. But you know, I don't know how long they're gonna keep wanting to make Marvel games. That's for one thing.
I didn't think about that. That's true.
Sony is definitely the Spider-Man system. So there's that. If you want to play Spider-Man, you gotta get a PlayStation.
Yeah, because their deal involved Spider-Man itself, right? Their deal involved them having some kind. Because I was wrong on that. I was like, there's no way in a million years that Sony would have any say in Spider-Man, and I got proved wrong on that. They were like, yeah, no, we do. In a small amount, it sounds like they have some say there. $20 super chat, Optimus Prime, best name in the universe, by the way. Thanks for reading out my non-super chat post. Keep doing what you're doing. Always great content. Appreciate honest and thorough reviews. I'm just going to add, and the podcasts on the end of that. Thank you very much, Optimus. And let's see, the last question. Bill Nye, the sexy guy. What's, for Gene and then the rest of the team, what's the worst video game name that you remember?
Shadow of Mordor,
Shadow of War.
Shadow of Mordor.
Shadow of War.
I got one that
Yeah.
beats them all, I think.
Is up there.
Okay, so what's the new one coming out that's the fantasy one? That's got a really bad name. It's got the
Oh God, I
magic-
forget it every time.
But
Every
forgotten
single
it.
time.
I
It's
still
that's how-
think I still think
Yeah.
this is the worst one so far, and people are going to be mad because I love the game. But Returnal, it's just too. It's just
Oh.
bad. It's
Returnal is an
is.
ugly name.
It's
Returnal
an-
is an ugly name.
It's got a little bit of urinal in it. It's got
Yep.
like you're and we're gonna talk about your coverage of Returnal actually, but
Yeah.
that's a bad one. So
Yeah, it's
Shadow
a
War.
sucky name to say, Returnal. Like
Yeah.
you don't sound like you're talking about a classic. You just sound like you're. Yeah, it sounds like urinal. It really does. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys said also Phoenix Rising comes to mind. So I love Phoenix Rising, but I agree. It used to be Monsters, right?
Immortals,
Gods,
Phoenix. You never
Gods
know
and
which.
Monsters, such a good name.
Gods
you
and
know?
Monsters. If that had been the name, it would have sold better.
Mm-hmm.
Name does matter. I mean, we all like to pretend that looks don't matter. They do. Sound, names, the
Like
presentation
the cover of a
matters.
book, right?
It is. It is. Yeah. Yeah. That's why you don't see me like on Vogue, the magazine. Come on. So, what else do we got? Shadow of War, Forspoken. There we go.
Yeah, I was
That's an
looking it
awful
up
name.
because I
Yeah.
completely forgot it. Forspoken is
Yeah,
definitely.
I can't remember that name for the
Either
life
can
of
I.
me.
Either can I. And
Yeah.
somebody got mad at me one time because I said the name of the game and then I said another. It like had half of the name of another game, and I said the wrong game in the review. They're like, "Man, you should check your notes." Blah blah blah. And I was like, "I did check my notes." It's when your brain is so the name is so generic or just so like not a thing.
That's the
Just
thing.
skip right
I
over it.
have one that it's such a forgettable name. It's something like Grail, and it's a deck building game. An awesome game, but the fucking name is just so forgettable that I
Griftlands?
always
No, not Griftlands.
no.
What's it called?
Tainted Grail.
Tainted Grail.
I always have to think like 2 minutes before I get it. Yeah.
Optimus Prime says,
Good
I
memory.
thought for sure ACG would say the gunk. Dude.
At least it makes you remember it. The
At
gun.
least-
I remember the gunk forever,
True.
so there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
will
I still
remember-
don't know what that game is, but I remember that name.
Nothing. It's nothing. It's the
There's
only
no
nothing
game.
game I played this year. It's nothing. I don't care what people say. Anyway, let's see. What are some? Hyperscape. That was a bad name, and that one just now got removed, right? I think.
It's shutting
good,
down
yeah.
soon. Yeah.
Skywalker says, loved it. Awesome to see Gene here. Joined all this week. Love his work. Excellent. Yeah, we have some overlap somehow. I mean, I don't exactly know how, because I look like a logger and you look like somebody who did live in Honolulu for a while. You were there
Sure.
for how long? Did you grow up there?
No, I didn't. No kidding. I lived there from 2006 to 2015. So, wait, 2006? Yeah, 2006 to 2015, about 8 years. So,
Do you miss it?
I don't like. I don't miss like working and living there, but I miss the people there.
Right. Friends you've made
uh,
and
You know, like I miss seeing hot people. They're just like no hot people in DC. Like I haven't seen like anyone like
Wow.
attractive like,
Yeah.
at all in DC. So
Sorry,
and
DC.
there's just like a lot of hot people in Hawaii, men and women. It doesn't matter. It's just great. So you know, I forgot what cleavage looks like. You know, like,
yeah,
like
DC.
I don't.
That's not going to be a thing.
Yeah, it's not a thing here. So you know, so I definitely like miss all that. I miss the food and everything. So I don't miss like living there permanently because there's just not a lot of opportunity there like economically for me.
Yeah.
But I definitely miss like just the vibe there. Definitely for sure.
I went there one time and I got to tell you, man, it was the worst experience of my life. I
happened?
hated the heat. I lost my shorts in front of thousands of people on a beach. My shorts got pulled off. It was always hot, no matter where we went, just hot and muggy. And I like it cold. Like I want it. I'm 40 Fahrenheit would be, that's getting a little high for me. Like
I'm actually originally from Guam, so I need the heat.
So for you, yeah.
I need the jungle, baby. Like I thought Hawaii was too cold for me, you know. So
Really? No
yeah,
shit.
I really thought the water was too cold for me in Hawaii. Like I was like, I need the ocean to be like warm, like God drew that.
Need
that,
a
you know?
lukewarm.
I live on the Pacific
Yeah.
Northwest. The ocean is like at constant 32 degrees.
Oh yeah, for
tops,
sure. Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure.
And
You
we
know,
go
I have a
swimming in it.
I have a sister that lives up there too. So
Oh,
yeah,
really?
It's freezing. So.
Yeah, it's crazy. Speaking of some of your stuff, so I went back and I looked at some of the stuff that I've seen from you, and I think I was telling you prior to this, you did an AMA about 3 years ago. So for people who don't know, that's a Reddit Ask Me Anything, and he did one. And here was your quote, which does deal, strangely enough, a little bit with negativity, but I thought this was awesome. So you were answering questions about all kinds of stuff, and somebody asked you, like, what keeps you going, negativity and stuff. And you said, my least favorite thing about working here is how ephemeral success can feel. An old adage in journalism goes something like, great job today, but what are you going to do tomorrow? The news never stops, but it can be a lot of pressure, and any feeling of success never lasts too long because you need to worry about the next thing. It's why we often say that you got to be passionate about it. Otherwise, it might be a rough going. And good quote, by the way. When I read that, I'm pretty sure that's the first thing I ever saw from you, because I like to look at the AMAs. I think they're actually some of the best. Reddit can get messy, and I think that they're some of the best content on Reddit.
Yeah.
You know. And I saw you doing that.
It's your
And
signature thing, you know.
do you feel like people are losing passion? Because I posted yesterday how excited I am for February, and just stoked. And I got a bunch of DMs from other people reviewing games who were like, "Really? I'm not." I was like, "Listen, Mopey. I mean, I don't know how it could be better. I mean, to me, the best games are coming out. The best games have come out last year. We had games I never thought we'd see. Flight Simulator on a console. Like, who would have thought that would happen? Like, that's ridiculous. Do you feel like people are losing passion for it, or are you just like shine it on, and as long as yours is, I mean, do you ever have to lift anybody up at your place? Do you ever have to be like, because you work with Paul, right? Paul Tassi, isn't that his name?
Oh no, I don't. He works at Forbes.
Oh, he works at Forbes, yeah. But you talk to him a lot, right? Because
I talk to him a lot. He's a contributor at Forbes.
That's
but,
what it was.
You know, like before when I used to play Destiny, I always followed his work because that's all he fucking covers is Destiny. So,
yeah. And I saw you talking about how well his Destiny coverage was doing. Like,
yeah. I really appreciate him as like a single source like reporter, or like a single game reporter. Like as someone who's interested in like expanding the role of journalism in games, like I really always thought that like you need like sometimes like one reporter on like a single game, because some games are just too big. So I thought Paul was doing that really well with Destiny.
But do you feel that people have lost passion? Do you ever pick up
Oh
on
yeah,
that?
yeah. Probably just the last 2 years where it just like endemic of everything in the pandemic. Like people are probably just tired of doing that stuff. I don't know if they're losing passion. I'm not losing passion. If anything, you know, I'm sick with COVID, right? But I felt better in the last 2 days than I have in the last like few weeks, because I have Pokemon, I have Horizon Forbidden West. I have a lot to look forward to. I have that other game that I got to go towards. It's energizing for me. I'm excited to talk about these games, and I mean, I get excited when I play them. You know. I don't know if the people are that excited about it these days. Probably just going back to what I said in that quote. They're probably just burnt out, you know. Like that, like there's just so much like churning out of content. Like for me, like with long COVID, like I just need to like kind of calm down and like just not churn out stuff quickly. And just before I burn out. So like I think it's really important. That's why you see so many creators burn out and take some time off too, you know, because I'm sure they love it too, and that's why they got into it, because they love it, you know, because they think that it's fun, and it probably is, and it's you just kind of burn yourself out, and you're just gonna take a break for a bit. I don't know how long that lasts or whatever.
Right.
I don't know how long this content cycle for everybody lasts too. But who knows, you know?
That's why a lot of people will ask, like, should I start, Karak? And I'm like, first of all, if you're asking that, you're already a step behind. You should be asking me, what do I do better? Like, you should already have some stuff. I think it's the greatest time to start ever, because you have the largest possible populace that can look at your stuff right now. They're stuck at home. Most of them are paying for at least internet, and you can be entertaining to them. And an excellent quote that I got from the guy who plays Dean on Supernatural, he was on a podcast and he was talking about, you know, I say it a lot of times, like, we're not curing cancer. Like, nobody's gonna, you know. And one of the things he said was, we're not curing cancer, but we might help somebody get through it. Like, they may laugh through a review, or they may laugh through reading one of your things. And that it is true. Like, that part, I don't know if it's down or depressing, but like, even in reviews I've been watching lately, it's just like, it's like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh is writing everything. And you're just like, seriously, guys, like, lift yourself up a little bit, or stop for a little while. Because I still think that even if you stop for a little while, it won't kill you if you start back up. You know, you'll still, if you create quality content, for the most part, it'll be seen. But yeah, those were the questions, the main questions, from my staff that I could find, from people in the Discord.
Can I throw in a question
That's
that kind of picks up on what you guys were saying there? Because Gene, you've been doing this for a long time now. So for you, do you ever lose that sort of excitement about, that like freshness of picking up a game, being excited, or picking up something new and wanting to talk about it? And if so, like, what do you do? What's your process for like regaining that juice?
I haven't really. I think the closest thing I got to tired of talking about a game was Cyberpunk, actually, and it's not just because it's right there in the back of Silver's background right there, just kind of staring at me. But like I do remember like not enjoying my time. Like, I obviously like really enjoyed Cyberpunk, right? But like that whole time where I was just playing nothing but Cyberpunk, I was just like, God, I really like can't wait to play anything else right now. Like, I think definitely those long games are going to be tough, which is why I'm glad I'm not going to be reviewing Horizon like for embargo, even though there's a lot of time between now and then, because sometimes these long games can burn you out too.
It is nice, I will say. People always ask me about embargoes. It is very nice how long we've had games. There's some games that I've got code for, and I'm like, wow, like, that's really that's a long damn time. For me to review the game. And I think some people say, oh, it means they're confident. Well, I played State of Decay 2, and that was available 3 weeks prior. So it's not always confidence. Sometimes it's just like, here's what we got. But it's cool to see. I would say for me, the only time when I ever like question anything is when it's late at night and I'm playing a game that has just enough stuff to cause me to bounce off of it, just like, or a crash, like it's got hard crashes or whatever, and you've worked. And you're sort of in a groove. And when you're in a groove in a game and there's a crash, like Jim Sterling reviewed, what was it? Was it Hellblade, where he had the big game crashing bug? And I know he reversed the review. I don't think he should have, because that was a full on crash. I would have just been like, no, I can't finish it. Game, don't buy it. Come back to it later.
Corrupted his save game.
Yeah. But that can kill you. Like playing, when I was doing Days Gone for PlayStation when it first came out.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and I was sitting there. You can't talk to anybody. I mean, people will hint, but you're not supposed to say anything. You never know if somebody's going to try to pretend like they want your data and be like, so and so's talking about something. So you don't want to say anything, but at the same time, you're like, is my experience normal? Is this? So what I started doing was DMing, like when I talk to the PR people, I'll be like, by the way, I had this. Has anyone else reported that? So that way I'm hoping that they're like, yeah, we know about it, or no, this is the first time. If you're like, this is the first time that Days Gone didn't show land, we're screwed, because mine's showing land all like just see-through, invisible world the entire time, and you can get that feedback. But yeah, I don't know. Interesting times for sure. Lots of good games coming out in February, which we're going to talk about. But last thing for Gene specifically, I want to talk about something. Dude, you did an excellent piece on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, a game that really surprised me. Yeah.
A game that surprised you.
A game that surprised everybody.
You said it was you're not direct quote, but you said it was a better movie than the movie, but it wasn't a very good game shooter wise. And you talked about the blandness of the shooting. You're right, man. Like it was. I loved it. I love the game, but everything you said resonated when I was reading it. Just going like, damn. Like you can tell when somebody likes something, but they see the error that's there that could make it a classic versus a game. We're all going to remember it. I didn't see anybody hate. Well, I saw one or two hate it. You always get that. But
yeah.
Did you know it was special when you were playing it?
It was around a time when, like, I guess, like when the plot thread of the church or whatever started heating up. once we got past like that tutorial mission, and like you just kind of get past like the Guardians, like the initial Guardian stuff, and you start to really get to know the characters. I was like, hey, this is actually really interesting. The way Peter Quill here, I actually like him better.
Yeah,
he's not as annoying as the Chris Pratt one. Rocket's the same, but and then Drax is just showing up and like being really funny.
Yeah.
Like the humor isn't like out of left field. Like we are here to take names and kick ass or whatever. Like no like weird like Whedon-esque jokes that just come out of nowhere. Like the jokes were always like in context with like the situation or the writing or the character moment. So I was just like, man, like the writing here is just so solid. So like I really want to see the rest of the adventure. God, another fight, like
right.
And you're just going chew 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 chew, and then the combat is just like so like not sticky and like really really soft, even in 60 frames per second. So I was just like, man, I can't wait to get this game over with, because I can't wait to see what happens, and I can stop playing this game.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I in a way,
it's a game I recommend to like almost anybody.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for a really really solid action game, like it's not it. Like this is. It feels like a good license. It's a great license game. So,
that feeling you get when you're playing a game, whether it's a review or just normal, where you're surprised it continues. You're like, oh, I thought this would be over. It's not over. There's more. That's the way Guardians was for me, because I'm so accustomed to IP games being short. That's just the way it's always been.
It was long.
And it was long. And it was like every moment there was something else. And I remember landing on the space station, and, it opens up, and you get in a dance or the sing off with that guy. And I'm like, what the is going on? This is, and especially when you look at Avengers, your brain, remember what we all said, guys, when Guardians was shown on the Discord? We were like, this looks terrible. This looks terrible. Nobody, and to play it and then have people and have the audience agree, which is always nice. It gets odd when everybody loves it and then like normal populace is like, the worst game ever. And you're like, oh shit.
Yeah,
it was good.
Deathloop reminds me of that, because like everyone loved Deathloop. I did it. I thought it was okay, but I was just like, wow, like there's a huge gap between what the critics think and what the audience thinks here too. But Guardians was one where I think a lot of people were just like, yeah, that was way better than I expected it to be. So.
Deathloop is the only game this year, or these last these last couple years, where I still don't know if I played the same game as everybody else.
Yeah, me too.
It was not great at all, and I remember playing it and being like, wow, it was just rough. It didn't feel great. I was like, okay, there's some stuff to like for sure. And then like I saw other like websites, and they were like, greatest game ever made, 10 out of 10. And I was like, 10 out of 10? If that's a 10 out of 10, we need like another 10 numbers. And now 10 should be 0, because it just stunned me. It was mediocre. And I get that some people may love it, but I felt like it was more of a celebration of Arcane than it was a good game. But I don't want to take anybody, you never know what somebody experienced that you
Of course. If people believe
time,
that's 10 out of 10, like I believe them. But yeah, I was just like, I must have played a different game, because I loved it at first, but like maybe 3-4 hours in, I was like, okay, this is really, really like this needs to do something else quick.
Yeah, that's the way I felt. I let me query these guys. Reg, Johnny, Silver, what'd you guys think of Deathloop? I can't remember.
Mixed. I liked it. I mean, there were moments where the game clicked, and I kind of saw where people who were raving about it, where they were coming from, particularly with regards to the multiplayer. When you were like playing cat and mouse chases across the rooftops and stuff. But even there, like the experience was so variable because it was so dependent on the type of player who joined your game. Like if they were just camping somewhere, that would be an entirely different experience. Though that was much less enjoyable.
Okay.
So, I mean,
that you mentioned Hitman. Like I felt like Hitman is just so much of a better game.
Completely agreed.
Right, in terms of trying to do everything what Deathloop was doing, because when I thought Deathloop was about to do a Hitman, I was like, whoa, this is really exciting. This is really fucking cool. And it didn't do any of it. I was like, I should just be playing Hitman right now.
What about you, Reg? What'd you think of Deathloop?
Yeah.
I played it for about 5 hours and then dropped it for better games. I enjoyed the couple hours I put into it, but not enough so that I continued.
Okay,
Let's put it like that.
gotcha.
I
Johnny?
was still
go
at
ahead.
a stage where I pretty much was playing through fresh content all the time at that stage.
Oh,
Like,
that's gotcha. Yeah.
So that part was good.
What about you, Johnny?
Yeah, I didn't play it. I saw your review and other reviews, just didn't seem interesting enough to put time into it.
Gotcha. I think people want Arcane to succeed, and
Yes.
Arcane still put some stuff in Deathloop that was different than other games. So I can see somebody who's a fan of Arcane might like it, but yeah, that was one of those weird. That was a weird time frame, that's for sure. Moving on from there, I don't know if you guys saw the news about Ubisoft. Somebody posted it in here, but they did a interview. Kotaku covered it as well. But basically telling gamers they didn't understand what NFTs were and that it was all for them. So this sort of matches what my leak had said. I talked about 3 months ago, which was that some companies will go forward with NFT regardless of any negative press because they know the money that's going to be made. Do you guys think Ubisoft, though, is maybe stepping a little too quick and they're going to end up like reaping the whirlwind? Or do you think people just ignore it like they did like horse armor and we'll just slowly be up to our necks in it?
I mean, so go ahead. Dean.
Yeah, let me say real quick. I just feel like I doubt Ubisoft's even like commitment to this, because if they really wanted to make NFTs happen, they would have put it in an Assassin's Creed game. At least for me, if they put an NFT in an Assassin's Creed game, and I'm such a huge Assassin's Creed fan, and it is their marquee franchise, I'm skeptical at NFTs, and if they put an NFT in Assassin's Creed, I would be interested in trying out whatever they were going to do, just because it was an Assassin's Creed. But because they put it in fucking Ghost Recon Breakpoint, a game that I hate, and a game that nobody wants to play,
Bland
that it's
point.
like,
Just,
yeah, exactly. Then it's like, okay, like how committed really are you to this idea when you put it in your worst game in like you ever made, probably?
And
you know?
Gene, it was just some
Wow.
numbers on the side of a helmet. I mean,
Yeah.
there was no effort. That was like an ACG podcast level of effort. Like that's what I tell people.
yeah.
That shit was barely running. What were we gonna say, Silver? I think you wanted to go first.
Yeah, go ahead, Silver.
And just, I mean, what really struck me is just like the stupidity of that statement, like what an own goal it is, that it isn't immediately obvious to Ubisoft that this is not good PR, making that statement regardless of what they intend to do with NFTs.
Yeah.
Like generally, gamers are not receptive toward being called ignorant. Like, no, it's because you don't understand it yet. Like that's not the message you kind of want to put out going forward if you want to convince people to go into NFTs. Like that, at a bare minimum. Like, and the fact that that's the approach they're going with is kind of mind-boggling to me.
Johnny, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't have much to add to what you guys are saying. It just seems like a disconnect from reality and like a lack of touch with how people are reacting to NFTs altogether, right? It's like they know people will react negatively to it, and yet it seems like, you know, they don't care about that. At least if you're gonna do it, try to be sneaky in some way, right? Like try to ease it in somehow.
Yeah.
It's
Like
almost
an
like
assassin, right?
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
yeah.
Reg?
I think it will go the way of the loot boxes. Like people will cry for a long time, complain about it.
Regulation.
But in the end, no matter what, no, I'm not getting towards regulation.
Oh.
But in the end, no matter what gamers say, the important thing is how they act and where they spend their money.
Yep.
And I think no matter how much gamers do complain from time to time, they still spend their money. So they will just carry on with their plans.
That's a good point. That's
I mean people buy Counter-Strike skins and whatnot on the Valve store all the time.
Yeah, and when you look at, especially when you look at NFTs, there's that mystery of what exactly, you know, when they were saying, oh, you could resell your game, that's already actually been possible on some digital stores. Doesn't require NFTs. There's all these things. They're just looking for an in where somebody even once says, oh, well, this might be worth it, and they're gonna bite on it. That's why when I do any NFT video, this is the only kind of video where I don't really have two sides. I just have one side, because I don't want to give a positive side and have somebody be like, there, that person knows the way in, and they just follow it. Because we've talked about, don't give anybody any ideas, man. You just like, nope, You're not getting any ideas from me. You try to fight it. We know that these things are possible. Look at, the NBA games we were talking about where you have to buy a different dye for your beard and your hair.
Yeah.
Like, that's microtransactions, let alone when they say, oh, but now it's a special color. You can pick your own RGB and we'll mint it on the... And you're just like, oh, shit, man, we're screwed.
Yeah, or all the arguments. You can sell your items after you're done with the game. It's like, look, the Steam platform, they're offering that for any game that's wanted.
How many years, too? Like a decade. It's crazy.
Yeah, nearly.
Yeah. So my hope is that they don't make it, but I don't see that.
It is a gold rush, so everyone is diving for it.
Yeah,
it is. And let's be honest, we do celebrate when somebody does well for themselves. So I'm not mad at a person for like investing in an NFT, the person. But when a company's like, hey man, we're gonna stencil. By the way, I can do that. I have Photoshop. I have 3D render projects. I could do what those NFTs were quickly. So that means their artists just had to look and go, and then you put it in packages, you get it to your game.
Dude,
ridiculous.
It's so crazy, and it's everywhere. It's not just like games and stuff. Like for example, Steve Vai, who's one of like the most iconic guitarists.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He is auctioning, or his people, his team, whatever. They're auctioning this NFT, which is basically just like a JPEG, right? So they're auctioning this JPEG, and sure, it comes with like, a FLAC version of a track that he created, which I'm sure it's a great track, but it's kind of like you're auctioning this JPEG, and then the fact that people are, they're probably gonna line up to buy that shit, and
so listen to
the
this.
minute I think that what Reggie said will come true the minute there's a game, and it might not even be a game that exists, a game that has stuff that's interesting enough that people want to buy, I guess, that's beyond like the outside of the Steam marketplace, that would like normalize it outside of Steam or something, something like that comes out of nowhere, like
a
Pokemon,
Minecraft kind of thing.
Like a Minecraft or a Pokemon or Among Us or something, just something that comes out of nowhere and just like, it might not even be Roblox either.
It's easy enough to like look on what they did with Breakpoint and just say, oh, that's cute or that's funny, because that is a game that few people care about. But as soon as they put it in some major franchise, people will gobble it up.
Here's what bothers me though. If you wanted that, dude,
put it in Fortnite.
There's a reason why people wear makeup on TV. It's cover up blemishes. You cover it up, you make it look better. You don't put a piece of shit helmet out there with some numbers on the side. What stuns me to my core is that they haven't hired the best of the best. By the way, I don't want to give a hint, but nobody's going to watch a podcast. Not developers. If you look, well, wait a minute. They do watch a podcast.
Wait, hold on a second.
But get my drift here. What if they hired Todd McFarlane, right? Or somebody who was what's his name? Matt Broom, who used to do Batman. They hire somebody and says, here's his skin in the game. This is an NFT. And it looks good. There will be no end.
Different story.
Yeah. Different story. And it would also, by the way, slightly be more reflective of a actual value if you can see it in the game. If it's a cloak and it's billowing and it moves and it's got some pluses on it, you can adjust those, RPG it, raise up its level, sell it to somebody who wants your +5 cape of, Batman, whatever, in your game. But they didn't do that. Ubisoft is so low effort at some things that they do, it stuns me. And then you get their DLC in Assassin's Creed, and you're like, what? This is like a full game. What? Like, you guys are so messed up. You can never tell where they're going to put their focus. I got to read this super chat. $100 super chat from the Forgotten Dumpling, which is an awesome name. Happy Friday. My two favorite podcasts drop, Sacred Symbols and ACG Dream Team. What are your guys' thoughts on SNES, the original game, Breath of Fire? Very first game I ever played. Also, Karak, Outriders is amazing and won Game of the Year. Source Sacred Symbols, Colin said that. Not in any world would Outriders be
it wasn't.
Colin said Outriders was Game of the Year?
He must be joking, because there's absolutely no chance Outriders won Game of the Year from anybody.
Now I'm canceling Colin. The Washington Post is officially canceling Colin now.
Someone who liked the game, I liked the game. I would never put that on the
Or
consideration.
do what I always say. Whenever anybody's on Twitter saying this is the worst game I've ever played this year, I'm like, then you're not playing enough games. Because there's some shit games out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But thank you very much for the super chat, Forgotten Dumpling. Glad that you enjoy the podcast. Hope you continue to show up. With NFTs, there's probably not much more to add. I mean,
I think for me, it's interesting that they keep pushing NFTs as a creative led thing. I think that the one thing lucky for people who are anti NFT is that, like, man, most of this shit is fucking ugly as shit, man.
Yeah.
So like you're talking about Todd McFarlane and like someone actually like designing something that actually looks good,
Yeah.
like something that is creatively interesting as opposed to like a fucking Gwyneth Paltrow monkey, you know. Like once someone actually does creative shit in the NFT space, which is like not happening, you know, like
Right.
they're trying to make NFT games and all they're doing is just ripping off Smash Brothers or fighting games.
Yeah.
Like that just like to me speaks to like the complete lack of creativity in the NFT space. You're just copying ideas. Like Johnny said, you're just copying cut and paste a JPEG and then you put it on something else and hopefully that'll sell. You know, I'd be worried once there's actually like creativity and interesting things coming out of that, and that's why these NFT people are just going after artists like musicians and everything like that, because they're trying to lend some credibility to that space, because they all suck as artists. Like otherwise you can't write music, you can't make fucking games, you can't draw monkeys for shit, you know. So you know?
It's really sad. And so a lot of them just copy a picture from somewhere else in NFT.
Right. Because the whole thing with NFTs is like it's unique, right? So you own a unique item, and that's I guess the selling point they're trying to drive. But then yet they give you a generic, slightly modified thing. No, come on, guys, right? Put effort into it. Give me something truly unique that, you know, makes sense within the NFT
space
paradigm space.
The one thing also. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think we kind of skipped over Dumpling's question. Super chat question, whether we had played Breath of Fire or remember.
That's too old for me to even remember. I don't remember Breath of Fire.
I did not play the original one, but I did play, I think it was Breath of Fire 4 and liked it a lot back in the day.
It's considered a classic.
I don't remember that many details of it. It's a bit like Secret of Mana for me in that it's sort of part of my recollection, but I don't remember sort of specifics of it very well.
Yeah, Gene did say that it sounded like he had played it, so I'll ask him now that he comes back and see, because it sounds like he was hot on it. But yeah, it's one of those games that it's just so far back I don't remember. Hey, Gene, about the Breath of Fire question, you made it sound like maybe you had played it. I
played Breath of Fire way back in the day. It's funny that I brought up Monster Hunter Stories 2 earlier, because playing Monster Hunter Stories 2 reminded me of Breath of Fire 1 and 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, old school Capcom RPGs, you know, really colorful graphics, really like I don't know, it felt like old school Capcom, and Breath of Fire is old school Capcom too.
Yeah, it's weird because I don't know how, I just don't remember anything about it. It's like I can't even remember. I mean,
very generic RPG. It's just about fighting dragons and blah blah blah. But like back in the day, like it was unique because it had those Capcom graphics. They're like those really bright and bold pixels.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Capcom was known for that. That's for sure.
Different than what Square Enix was having. So,
it's funny, like when you look at those old games, I remember those games more as arcade games than I do. So I remember Capcom's arcade games more than I remember Capcom's home games for whatever reason. Who made Ghosts and Goblins?
Capcom.
That was Capcom.
That one. That's the game I remember.
Also Mega Man.
Another $100 from Forgotten Dumpling. I hope this is real, Forgotten, because if it's not and I have to get a charge back on my credit card, I'm going to be pissed. But I'm still going to read it because I love you. Colin was for real when he said his game of the year. Far Cry 6 was runner-up?
What the hell, dude?
Agree with him. All games' lives matter. Show it some love.
It was fun, but it's just not in the conversation for best game for me.
Well, I will bring up one caveat. It does depend on what you had, because what you had to play, what you have played. So if I've only played 10 games to completion in a year, I pretty much have to give game of the year, my game of the year, to one of those 10 because
Or
those
if you
are what I
only
played.
played Outriders and Far Cry 6, then
Yeah,
I
then
mean,
you got
have
your runner-up, your honorary mention. I wouldn't even call Far Cry 6 a dishonorary mention. That game is just not. I mean, that was pretty bland. There were some parts I did like in Far Cry 6, but it made me reminisce over Far Cry 5 and some of the stuff I liked there more than it made me remember Far Cry 6. I mean, I like the dog with the little wheels and the
little
rockets.
wheels,
I can't
yeah.
remember his name.
Chorizo.
Chorizo, yeah.
Yeah, I've actually, they sent me a stuffed animal of him, which is actually pretty cool. But that's an interesting choice, man. Yeah, again, it does depend on what you've played. But yeah, Forgotten Dumpling, thank you very much. Don't charge it back, bastard. If you do, there's nothing I can do about it. So,
for that.
yeah, exactly. So I think we'll move on from NFTs and stuff like that. But I did want to mention, we were talking about Capcom. If NVIDIA's leak is right, and it seems to be, now that we know like Uncharted and a couple other games are coming, Ghost of Tsushima was on that list for the NVIDIA leak, but guess what else was? Dragon's Dogma 2. And if that comes out, that'll be the only other game you'll see me actually shed a tear, like in just happiness. And if they get the start music from the original back,
Oh god,
They-
yes.
they will
the
never.
wind is pushing me, I will
Will never happen.
Dude.
I was like, oh my god, why did they remove it?
Why did they remove when it
Exactly.
was removed? It killed my soul. And there
Yeah.
were mods that add it back. That's how
Yes.
much it mattered to people. So
Nice.
Dragon's Dogma 2 is so exciting. And I know Silver was saying, like, you know, hopefully they poured it over because Dragon's Online was the Japanese one. They never brought that over. But it, for all intents and purposes, I'm now considering that list that NVIDIA got leaked as being, you know, pretty much true because a couple of the games that have been announced were on there as well.
They did have Final Fantasy VII Remake on PC on that list
That's true.
before
they
it
did, too.
it was
Yeah, they did.
confirmed.
Yes.
Forgotten Dumpling, $50 super chat. This is real. No chargeback. I'm not an asshat. Love the show. Have a great weekend. You too. Forgotten Dumpling, I'll make you a little GIF for those super chats. I'll make you something. And I'm going to put the high level of effort I've obviously put into my background, everything here, into this GIF. It's going to be amazing. Or GIF, depending on
What do you
where
mean
you're
your
from.
background? That's your actual room.
Yeah, this is... Dude, we had somebody. I was on Iron Lords, and they're like, "Dude, you got some monitors back there, pretty cool speakers." I'm like,
Nice bass.
yeah, exactly. So moving on from there, I did want to cover one thing about business, which was that Microsoft did their prices. Who wrote this one down? Did their stock announcement?
Yeah.
Was this you, Reg?
hmm
You got any further data on this?
Well, I only put the one sentence in what I thought was most interesting from that.
And what is it?
That in the last fiscal quarter, ending December, their profits were up 21%, and they made 18.8 billions of profit in that quarter.
So 3 more years, and they will have paid off Activision.
Well,
No, 4 more.
What?
Right. 4 more years of profit, and they would have paid off Activision's purchase. This is Microsoft, right?
yes, it's Microsoft, but didn't they pay like 20 for it? So that's like a little bit over.
Oh, I thought Microsoft bought them for like 60 or 80
Well,
billion.
Yeah,
Or
it
did
was
I-
68.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
68 billion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 3 more quarters then.
Yeah, 3 more quarters. Wow.
Wow. That really puts it into
It
perspective.
does put it into perspective, man.
Holy balls.
Yes.
Dude.
I remember growing up, and they were like, when a movie hit $1 million, 100 million to make, they were mind blown. They were mind blown. You would hear it. Magazines at that time, radio. People were like, "It's
Titanic, yeah.
Titanic is blah blah blah." James Cameron, will he ruin the movie industry with this high expensive movies? And now 100 million gets you
Waterworld.
like Amazon original one episode. I mean,
Right.
it's nuts, man, how much they
Yeah,
paid for that.
it's
I
another
still believe
level.
that's
Yeah.
also to fight off Tencent and stuff. Like, it's not all just about Call of Duty. That doesn't make sense.
That's
but-
that's what Phil Spencer and I talked about in an interview.
Yes,
That
yeah.
that you know, like he won't outright say it because obviously he and it's true that Nintendo and Sony are still competitors, but it's obvious that Microsoft is absolutely thinking about this. It's mostly like a land grab
Yeah.
before Apple, Tencent, Google come in. You know, it's like hey, like this is our
Yeah.
space, this is our territory here. You know.
I have a question for you. So we know, because Bobby did state that they were looking to sell, right?
Mhm.
Do you believe, so let's say Phil has $100 billion if he is not looking actively at Activision and they come to him, do you believe that comes out of his 100 billion? Or because the entire company is looking at 20 years down the line, 10 years down the line, that he still has some? I hope you get what I'm saying. So, like, because he wasn't actively looking at Activision, do we believe that's still coming out of whatever coffers he was looking forward to buying other developers or to furthering other developers?
I feel like this was a big Microsoft move, you know.
That's what I feel.
Yeah, this just feels like they obviously needed, like, you know, like they had to have asked Bill Gates, you know, like
Yeah.
Hey, Bill.
like this went all the way up
I
the
got
chain,
a line
you know?
on Activision.
Yeah. So
Well-
we're gonna spend the most of your money ever, you know.
Yeah.
So
Abbreviated review, $5 super chat. I am an asshat. Good job, Indio. You did a good review, by the way, Indio. I watched your review. Jalapeno milk. That sounds nasty.
Dude, I'm gonna log off. Man.
Jalapeno
terrible.
milk does ask, and this is a good question. Do we all think it's too late for a true, I'm adding that word, Game Pass competitor? True. And by that, I mean something truly competitive.
No, I don't
But
think
it's never too
late.
late to release a good product, right? Or is it?
It is.
Okay.
Let's say your product is a really good pedal bike and everybody's using motorbikes. There's
Oh,
probably
like
a chance
that.
it's not going to sell.
Yeah, that you're right.
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
you got me there.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but
Like if you're behind the curve, right?
if you're behind
you come
the,
out with
yeah. What if you're a really good like tennis player in the 70s and you go against Roger Federer now? Be like,
Oh.
that's going to probably be a nasty game.
Yeah. I mean, people always talk about, like, you know, like who is better, like Michael Jordan back in the 90s
Yeah.
or LeBron James now. Like it's that kind of thing right now too, right?
Yeah, for sure. What do you think? What do you think, Gene? Do you
I don't know, man. Like who else can compete? Apple has been trying with their Apple Arcade thing, but it's like really small scale.
Yeah.
Google Stadia just had no games. You know, PlayStation obviously would come the closest, but like, you know, even then, I don't think they can offer enough and at the output that Microsoft can now, you know. Nintendo can't either because they take fucking forever making games too. We just got Pokemon this month, and that's like their first game in like, well, this is Metroid Dread in October, but that's about it though, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
And Nintendo will just do whatever the fuck they want anyway, so who knows what they're gonna do.
Yeah, we always
They don't
joke
know.
they're still signing into their MySpace page and wondering why.
Yeah,
nobody's
exactly.
talking to them.
Yeah.
They're so behind the curve.
They're so
It's
behind the
fine.
times and still making so much money anyway. So like they
it
don't
still
care.
works. It
Yeah,
works.
it still works, you know. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there could be a competitor. I was like, wait, Steam, but like what are you gonna do? They have to make more Half-Life games, and they'll never do that.
Yeah,
so.
or it'd take them 10 years. You know.
Exactly.
They couldn't even
you
do
know?
3. They had to do VR, which I love, by the way. One of the greatest VR games. ever
Half-Life
made.
3 will be a storefront, or it will be a subscription service.
Yeah.
That's what
Oh
it'll be.
God.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Microtransactions.
That's real Half-Life 3.
Crab
yeah?
head crab NFTs. What about you,
Yeah.
Silver? Do you think there's a competitor out there?
There isn't, but I mean, there's potential that there could be, but they would face the same issues that Epic had trying to build up a storefront as a competitor to Steam on the PC platform, as I see it, because Microsoft's already built the ecosystem. Microsoft has the ecosystem, and you would have to build something similar, which would require enormous resources and time to do. I mean, Gene mentioned Steam, which, I mean, possibly if Steam had like a Steam Pass service on Steam that let you play games on Steam, that could maybe be a competitor, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah. I don't know how that would work or anything like that.
No,
too,
yeah.
or how that would benefit Valve at all. So, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the case of Sony, it just seems completely impossible they would do that. Imagine if Sony comes out with a $10 subscription, monthly subscription, wherein every new game, full release new game is there day one. No, guys, they're still charging full price for Returnal after what has it been, like 2 years now, or
Yeah.
and the sale 25% off was still £50. So do you think they're gonna come out and charge you $10 for like their new games?
But even if Sony were to do that, even if they were to make like a subscription service where you had immediate access to games as they came out for the Sony PlayStation, they would still be at a disadvantage compared to Game Pass because it would still be relegated to that single platform, whereas Microsoft has the advantage of Windows as well, being built up on the Windows system and platform across devices and stuff.
You're right, of course. It is a bigger pool. Just to add a couple caveats, the value would be incredible if you could go from buying, $70 Sony games to day one, right? But then also, there are a few caveats when you try to play Game Pass games on PC. For example, EA titles, you have to go through the shitty beta app, the EA beta app, right? Which a lot of people have lots of problems with. So they're announcing it as like a fully released product, but actually you have to play it through a beta application.
Yeah,
which in my mind
it's
is
still talking to other
unacceptable.
launchers, which
And
is
you
so
have to use
annoying
the
on
Windows
PC.
Store.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Windows Store also has lots of issues.
I did a tweet about this. I can't believe this. They spent $60-some billion. If they had spent $65, they could have fixed the Windows Store. So they could have hired somebody on Fiverr and fixed that. That's ridiculous. I don't know why. Why did Phil, if you're listening, he never would, but if Phil was listening, he should have been like, whoa, wait a minute. How about we scratch off $100,000 and we fix the Windows Store? Which is, and then I had people going like, I've never had a problem. I'm like, listen, they say they have a problem. So I don't care what you're saying. They're telling us that they are like trying to fix it. They've been trying to fix it since the day it came out.
Which is why I don't think like Battle.net is going anywhere for a while, because it's like Bill Gates is probably like, hey, can you teach us how to make that?
That's exactly what other people said. They're like, maybe some of this money was for them to use the ecosystem of like jump onto Battle.net and start doing everything.
Don't move shit to the worst launcher.
Nah, I mean, oh God. Yeah, if they're like, oh, now on the Windows Store, not for me, it's not. Any way I can not use that store. And people come at me and I'm like, dude, I'm the type of person that, Johnny was saying the crappy beta. I'm like, dude, seriously, you're getting a bunch. I'm okay with that. The Windows Store is a direct, it causes me to lose time. Like actually, as in I'm trying to fix their store to get it to run on a PC over here, or somebody needs help. Like one time we tried to play online for a review. Company was like, dude, we'll give you 4 keys. We would love to play. It's on, no lie, they said it's on the Windows Store. And I was like, thank you, but no. Because the last time we did it, no one could connect ever. The game was just like, no, you guys don't exist. So, yeah, I don't know, man. A lot of money was spent, and I just wish a little bit had gone to the Microsoft Store, just a tiny bit. So that's it on Microsoft. Doing well financially, doing incredible. Let's see, what else do we got here for news? Oh yeah, let's talk about Star Wars. Did anybody else? I was not expecting them to talk about 3 games. They said, what was it?
One shooter, one new Jedi game, and one strategy game.
All from Respawn?
Yes.
I have a question for you guys. Was Respawn not the company that wanted to leave because they were forced to work on one IP?
Yeah.
But it wasn't Star Wars. That was my joke, that it wasn't Star Wars they were requested to work on. But I thought for sure it had to do with creative, like boredom or whatever. So who knows?
Yeah. I gotta say, for people who don't know me, I'm a completely lapsed Star Wars fan. I've been a Star Wars fan since the 80s.
Oh wow.
Until Rise of Skywalker, and that just killed like any excitement. Like I'm done. Like I'm not watching The Mandalorian. I watched Mandalorian. I thought it was okay. I'm not watching Book of Boba Fett. I don't give a shit about Star Wars anymore. So like for me personally, I have to be a little bit disappointed that they're making 3 Star Wars games out of such a talented studio.
Yeah.
Under such a talented guy like Vince Zampella, who is a very, very creative person. And I'm sure there'll be great Star Wars games. I love Jedi Fallen Order,
Yeah, it's a great game.
But so I'm interested. I'll still be interested to see what they do. But creatively, I wish I'm with you, Karak. Like I wish they could work on something else, because Apex Legends is very creative.
Yes, and very enjoyable game. by the way.
Yeah.
I never knew I was going to like that game. And that game has some great moments I'll remember forever. Some matches where somebody pulled off something. You're like, damn, that was sweet. But the idea of these poor guys, not poor now, they're not poor now, but the idea of them like shuttling off and then somebody says, hey, do you guys just want to be the Star Wars? I like the idea because they are talented, but aren't we sure that Jedi Fallen Order started at its very bones, not a Star Wars game? I almost
yes, it was.
Okay.
I actually did the interview. It absolutely did not start out as a Star Wars game, and they kind of retrofitted. It's like, okay, well, this can work as Star Wars,
and it worked.
They were just making on a Dark Souls like game, which is awesome.
Yeah, especially with lightsabers, right, Gene? Because if you hit somebody with a lightsaber, chances are they're gonna die. So like the idea of having some high level difficulty, I hope they actually turn some of that up in the next one. But yeah, so RPG. Go ahead.
Can I ask you something as a fellow Star Wars fan, Gene? Because actually, on that topic, Fallen Order was one of the games that sort of confirmed to me that for me, the Star Wars magic was gone. Because the moment I booted up that game, and it didn't give me what every single other Star Wars game has given me, which is the opening crawl.
Go on about the music.
Yes. Not only the music, but a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, the opening crawl and the Star Wars main theme, not there. Like that magic was gone. That was sort of what confirmed to me that the Star Wars I know, the Star Wars I grew up with, the Star Wars I've loved was dead and gone.
I like Jedi Fallen Order not because it's a Star Wars game, because I enjoyed it as a pretty good Souls-like, and like Karak said, that the lightsabers don't kill instantly. So I had to put in my head canon. Okay, he's got the same kind of lightsaber as like Travis Touchdown does in No More Heroes. Where it's more like a really, really heavy bat. That he just like that kind of burns a little, so like in my head, I wasn't even playing a Star Wars game anymore. I was just playing a Dark Souls game with a lightsaber, because I like you, like I didn't really feel the magic. I was like, oh, there's a bunch of Wookiees here. I guess I'll save them now, and then that's about it. But yeah, I liked it as a game, but as a Star Wars fan, I was just like, yeah, whatever. It's I still like lightsabers. Like ultimately, what my Star Wars fandom comes down to is I still like the lightsabers. That's about it. So
Well, I would say they nailed. Sorry, Karak. No. They nailed the feel of the music. Like it felt Star Warsy. Just kind of like Book of Boba and Mandalorian. They have some great music that kind of seem like it feels Star Warsy somehow. I don't know what it is, right? If you break it down musically, what it is they do. But I did think, even though it was different, they didn't hinge on the nostalgia as much. It was something fresh, new,
that game had
but
like
still felt
cool, like little like motifs that were just like do do do, like the like
right.
let some like notes like just kind of hang there. And
they
it's like,
hang.
okay,
yeah.
It does feel kind of like a Star Wars game, like you're on a new planet or something. So
Reg, what about your thoughts?
Kind of lost track now.
Jedi Fallen Order,
Star Wars games, Jedi Fallen Order,
new games.
I mean, I am not that much into Star Wars. I would be definitely more excited about Star Trek games being done by someone.
Me too.
But apart from that, I mean, if a studio gets some Star Wars games to do, then they are definitely a good address. I liked all their previous games. And I think they do good campaigns, entertaining campaigns. So maybe not 3. I'm maybe not looking forward to like 3 whole Star Wars games.
Right.
I especially not knowing in what sequence they plan on releasing them. As far as I understood, they have several teams working on them at the same time. So do they release like fairly close to each other? But 1 or 2 of them I will definitely check out, especially the strategy game.
The strategy game I'm a little bit interested in, actually.
One that we haven't had in Star Wars for a long, long time.
I would also say that this is probably just me, but the old cinematography that was used in the old Star Wars with the wipes and soft, almost like a soft blur on everything. These new movies didn't have that. And that's actually where I was like, they don't, right. Their entire feel is, it's almost like if you like old version Transformer cartoons from years ago, the 80s, those Transformers look a certain way. And then you see the movies and you're like, what? Like, that's the most complex Jenga puzzle ever. Why would a Transformer have that many moving pieces? And yet some people like that. I know some people who like the new movies and go back and try to watch the old ones and they're bored. And, all the power to them. But I do believe that if these guys are making a Star Wars game, not a game that they were making already, and it's switched to Star Wars, that is going to be more difficult for them. So it'll be very interesting to see what we get out of it, because you never quite know, like, if their entire track is now Star Wars, will we see a change to combat? Because people will be like, okay, we can't be chopping people 50 times with a lightsaber. They didn't do decapitations other than robots, right? In Jedi?
Yeah,
there was
correct.
no human dismemberment.
Hate it.
Right. But how do you do that, though, Gene, without having these special bad guys
I
that
don't know,
constantly
man.
show up with laser batons like the movie, where you're like, dude, where's the guy with the laser baton? Why is he standing there? Oh, because our hero's going to pick up a lightsaber. Also, the amazing actor that they chose from Shameless, the guy who played the main. Oh, damn it. What's his name, Johnny?
The Joker in Gotham.
He played one of my
Yeah.
favorite TV shows of all time. I can't remember his name.
I can't remember his name either, man.
If like, who are
Good
they
guy,
gonna,
though.
is it going to be him? Is it going to be, which I would assume, but there's all these different things that could pop up to make it not hit as hard. The strategy.
His name is
on the
Cal.
other
His name is Cal Lightsaber. Remember that?
Yeah.
Cal Lightsaber.
I just love the idea of the Empire at War kind of RPG or real time strategy, like that. To me, seems like it could be awesome. And then a shooter. A lot of people like Republic Commando, right? That was fairly popular, was it not? Yeah.
Yes,
So,
it was.
yeah. So that, it's cool. It's
Also, of
just
course, Jedi Knight.
Yeah.
Jedi Knight.
Or give us a
it's
give us a real
Cameron.
Oh,
give us a
Cameron.
real Battlefront. Take that shit away from Dice. Dice
Yeah.
has no idea what they're doing. So
Yeah, give us the original Battlefront that was like on the original Xbox, and
just
I
update that.
Yeah.
Please.
yeah,
you
give
know.
us new servers and upres it to 4K, and I would probably still play it.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. That's it.
Let's see, what else do we got here for news? Got a bunch of stuff.
I maybe avoided it a little bit.
Yeah, Reg went ham today. Like, here are 5 sections with
Oh wait,
different news.
no, he does. Who did the ESO expansion? I missed this. Is this you, Reg?
Yeah, well, yeah, almost all of it is.
everything.
Oh, is it? So,
Yeah.
Almost.
so they're doing High Isle Mediterranean inspired area for ESO.
Yes, they had announced originally in the trailer that they were going for this expansion for the next one, coming in, I believe, June, to an area that we haven't seen in any previous games yet.
Oh,
And,
really? All
yeah.
brand new, not a
Oh,
Dagger
that's
Wall,
cool,
not a
actually.
Actually brand new ESO online.
Yeah.
Awesome. Dude, that game's been going just bananas with their amount of expansions. It's nuts. 20 million players across all platforms is what this says.
Yeah, that was also somewhere in there. That they were celebrating crossing the 20 million, I guess, lifetime unique players, but still, yeah.
David Farlow, $10 super chat. Props to Silver and Gene for remaining fans as long as they did. I felt like the magic was over when I saw Phantom Menace in the theater, then went home and played some TIE Fighter on the PC to recover. I felt the same way. I was really disappointed in Phantom Menace, man. Sola Sword, $5 super chat. This super chat is sponsored by Silver using a colored filter. As we know, everything around here, everything around where he lives is black and white.
Correct.
Wizard of Smoke, another 5. Late to the show. Don't know if it was brought up, but what are your opinions on CK3 coming to console? Thank you, Karak and Silver, for suggesting that game during lockdown. Yeah, so what he's talking about is Crusader Kings 3, one of the best games I've ever played. One of the hardest to get into games I have ever played. But if you mean coming to console as a whole, it's quite easy because I've been streaming it to my tablet with pretty crappy controls and it works fine. If you mean like, I'm assuming he means...
Did you do touch controls on the tablet?
I did
or-
touch and I did Steam's fake digital controller.
Okay.
And both worked fine. I mean, it's just hot points, for the arrow, or not the arrow, but it's like it just bounces. And then I did touch mostly because I thought that was made the most sense. And it worked great. So I'm excited for it. I don't know. Silver, he's asking you about this. Anything on CK3 for console?
No, just happy for it. The more people who get to play that game, the better.
Sell your kids to your neighbors. Sell their kids to somebody else's neighbors. That is one of the greatest, most evil games made. If you guys don't know this game, you should check it out. Play it like The
That
Sims.
sounds fun, actually.
It is, Gene, I tell the story all the time, but I was having issues with it, and I emailed their PR, and I'm like, I'm having a hard time sort of even understanding what I'm supposed to do. And a developer contacted me and he's like, listen, I know you love The Sims. Play it like The Sims. And I don't know what it was. I wasn't thinking that way.
Something clicked.
And
you
something
went,
clicked.
"Whoa."
And
That's
I
cool.
was like, I went from being like, to, oh my God. It was so, I was up at like 3 a.m. selling all my kids to other people and like doing horrible stuff. So you'll trap somebody and you'll be like, do you let them sit in the cage in the basement, or do you kill them? Do you like grab their family for yours? And then your kids are like, we want your, the children are trying to kill the father because they want to take over, and you're constantly warring, and then they can turn evil against you. So you'll be like, da da da, and the army just splits away, and you're like, why is that army going the other way? What's happening? And then it's like, so and so has left your army and is now against you. And you're like, no, it's so good, and it just happens throughout the entire game. There's like no turn in that game doesn't involve some horrible political decision, and your need to figure it out. It's awesome. And I love the fact that you can like marry a poisoner to a mass murderer, and they can be your leaders, and just see what they do. Just let it ride. Be like, all right, man, we're putting the two worst people together, man. Just let this thing ride and see what happens. So yeah, having it on the console is awesome, man. I can't wait. Let's see, what else do we got? Crysis 4 was announced. So, does anybody care?
I like the Crisis series. I actually played them recently on the Switch. Really, really good conversions on the Switch.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. You'd be surprised at how well they run and how good they look. Even Crisis 1 and Crisis 3 too. So I'm a little interested. It's been a while. Like I like Crisis 1. Like for me, for my money, Crisis 1 is one of the most formative first-person games like I've ever played.
Yep.
So if Crisis 4 can try to recapture some of that spirit, then yeah. But otherwise, we don't know jack shit about it. So
yeah,
can't wait for it to melt everything. Like we'll get it on the Xbox
the
Series
new benchmark.
XX,
can you run
PS6,
Crisis 4 though?
Crisis 1 was just written poorly. It wasn't written for, or not written poorly. I'm sorry. That was rude. It was written for a time when PCs were changing to multi. So, like, they've tried to fix it multiple times. I think the new one, 2 and 3 ran great. I played them recently. The remakes, or what were they? Remasters, I guess. They were fine. Yeah, so, like, I'm excited for it. It's just the thing about Crysis is the first one had an energy to it that was different than the jungle set. Everything about it just felt different. And then you jump into it was less modern, I guess. The more modern they went into like a city, and 2 or 3 has a city, and you're just like, it doesn't feel.
Yeah, New York.
Yeah, it's.
I don't like that. Yeah,
it's urban jungle, which we've seen so many times. But a shooter that's almost on this Paradise Island, which by the way, Far Cry 1 was also originally on a Paradise Island, and those are 2 of my favorite of their series. Like Far Cry 1 will always be my favorite.
There's a reason why everyone remembers Predator 1 and no one thinks about Predator 2,
Exactly.
Predator 1 was in the jungle. Predator 2 was awesome too, but
yeah. I actually know more one-liners from that than I do from Predator 1, but I agree with you totally.
Candy?
Yeah.
So,
dude, want some? And okay, sorry. I almost went off and just started doing Jamaican accents and stuff, but if people haven't seen Predator 2, please go watch that movie. But yeah, Crysis 4, who knows when it'll be out, right? We didn't see a date on that.
Exactly. It's going to be like 20 years. So
yeah.
So I'm not I can't be excited about it until it's like almost here. So
hey, Gene, I was going to ask you, when reviewing, one of the things I do is I read stuff, and then I get to a point to where like my brain has enough knowledge about whatever game I'm going to review or I'm hoping to review. And then what I do is sort of step away until I get the game. Because one thing I've noticed is a lot of expectations get dashed. And hopes and weird dreams where you're like, why did this person think this game was going to allow that? Oh, well, they got caught up in a forum somewhere. And I sort of step away prior. How do you deal with getting a game? Do you read everything? And
I don't read. I don't read a lot. I try to really just kind of like keep my perspective pure. What I do read is other kinds of reviews, food reviews, reviews of cars, reviews of like guitars, reviews of guns, reviews of computers. I do that to try to think of other interesting perspectives or other different languages that I can use. So I'm not like poisoning my own thoughts with other people's thoughts on a game. and I can try to keep my mind sharp and think about how I can talk about this game in a certain way. But like even for Horizon Forbidden West, like I have no idea what the hell like that story was supposed to be about or anything like that. I just want to kind of go into it like just try and run, just run it and have it wash over me, you know. I was the same way with God of War. I really didn't want to know anything about that, and just like and it's such a great experience for me. I end up liking games more because I don't read it much about them, because because I don't have a lot of expectations, you know.
Yeah, that's the. I mean, like even when I started, that was one of the first things I thought of. Was like I just don't want to get burned on knowing everything or getting in weird discussions where you suddenly hope something will be in the game, and then you'll go in, you'll be like, it's not there. Oh, and everything now is negative about this thing. And I think stepping away does help. I like your idea of reading other reviews. I didn't realize I am a huge review reader. But I don't do almost any video game reviews until far after. Like that way, if I do disagree with somebody, it's not hot. I don't come in hot and go,
exactly.
I'll see their blurb.
I mean, I'll still read other stuff too, but yeah, like just like you, I don't want it to be hot. You know, I definitely want to sit on the thoughts for a while. So
that's interesting you do that. I do think it also does help when I know for me I cover music, and whenever I talk about music, people are like, oh wow, somebody's talking about music. Or you talk about, like you said, if you're reading food reviews, suddenly you can talk about, is something fully cooked, half cooked, medium rare, a little bit of a different word where somebody hears that and it might work for them.
I originally wanted to be a music reviewer. That's the whole reason why I got into journalism, because I wanted to write for Rolling Stone someday and stuff like that.
Nice.
You know?
Well, you still can, dude. It's not like you're dead. You live through COVID.
but Rolling Stone, I don't want to write for them anymore. So,
oh, okay. Don't meet your heroes, or don't outlive their heroism, I guess.
Yeah. I've outlived them already, so that's cool. So.
I know that feel. But back to Crisis. So that's coming out, people. We don't know when. I'm assuming it'll be on everything. I think everything's going to be on.
It's probably going to be a while, because the same announcement post said, "Oh, by the way, we're looking for people."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they haven't even started. They haven't even started yet. So it's going to be like 20 years.
Wild One says, "What's it like not being able to talk to people as you go through games?" I'll tell you this: I like it, but one big issue I talked about in the Discord yesterday. Other people have and I'm sorry, when people are like, I beat this game with one button, I'm like, just shut up. Yes, we know you're awesome, but what I don't like is when I don't have the ability to ask anybody if I'm having a problem. There is no guide for a reviewer. Yeah. There's none. And so you'll just be like, all right. And you'll get into some wording that confuses you or whatever. And you're like, what the? And I've been on quests before in games where I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm right here. And then you find out it's like, oh, you have to turn around this little corner where maybe everybody else, there's so many people talking about it. When the game's out, it's a little easier. That's my big difficulty, I would say, not necessarily talking to others. Are there any for you, Gene, when you're reviewing a game, like the difference between reviewing it versus just playing it for fun?
Not really. I do like to finish my games before I review them. I do find that when I finish them, my opinion might change.
Yeah.
So that's why like speaking of Returnal, like I never fully review Returnal because I never fucking beat it,
Right.
So I do still, like, now that I'm a reviewer, I do DM like other folks that like especially YouTube creators like yourself or some other folks, just to kind of bounce off ideas and like gut check, like am I feeling this, so that it's a little bit unfiltered that way, but like I definitely that's pretty much the extent of what I do,
Yeah, and when they give you warnings not to talk to anybody, I've definitely noticed there's like the sideways of talking to people.
Yeah,
somebody's
for sure.
like, hey, if you were playing a really difficult game right now, what would you try if you were at this one place, where you can tell what they're talking about.
I haven't gotten stuck in a game thank goodness. I think the closest I got stuck was Metroid Dread, where I was like stuck on a boss for like a day, and I was like, dude, can I beat this boss? Like what's wrong with me? And I beat him eventually, and I was like, oh, okay.
I got stuck on Hellblade 1. There was a puzzle that you had to look at in a perfect angle. Now, Reg was fine, but all of us, or at least me and Johnny, had this issue where no matter what I did, I was just saddling back and forth. And I swear to you,
it was so good.
It was hours of me just going, what the fuck? And then I did it one more time and it just worked. And I was like, dude, that's ridiculous. And then Reg is like, what? I'm already through that part. And you're just like, all right.
Yeah, exactly. I just
just
went
hit it.
there, it worked, and
Oh,
went
man.
on to the next thing.
And then is it Lady Butterfly in Neo 1? Who's the...
Yeah.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
No.
That's a Sekiro.
No, that's
Sekiro.
Sekiro.
No, that's Sekiro.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's in Neo 1, there is a chick that you come down out of a valley, or you come down into a valley, and she's there. Second or third. She's a great skill test, but it's a skill test. And I remember
Yes.
it took me hours. When I beat her, everybody was so easy afterwards. It was ridiculous because everything was like, now you got to be good. And I went in there.
You need to, at that point, you need to have a build.
Yeah.
As opposed to
Which I'm
just
sure I
winging it.
Yeah, I'm sure I did.
So you need to figure out your shit now. Okay, I need to cast.
And remember when I sent
buffs
you
and
guys the DM about Neo 2 when I fought that? I was like, dude, and I posted the picture of my death count on the one guy because when I was playing it, you couldn't invite dead souls to help you. It was
Right.
the online was off, and I was just getting smoked. And it's because I ran through it. I was just beating people, and I wasn't gathering. I wasn't doing any grinding at all. And I got to that guy, and I think it was like 142 deaths, I think, before I got. And then after that, because you worked so hard, and all your skills are at this high level, it's funny because Sekiro, I don't remember a specific boss other than the ogre who can just fuck off. That dude, what a shitty
in Neo 2, I remember the one I struggled with the most was the cat in the woods.
Yeah.
With the trees. The fast-moving, like cat-like.
Yeah, that was difficult.
Yeah.
Gene, you haven't been stuck in a game. What about... Seriously, so... Really, you've never been stuck at, like, a logic puzzle? Or...
Oh, I get stuck at them all the time, but nothing that like like I played God of War 1 recently just to kind of hype myself up for Ragnarok, and it's been a while since I played that one. That one has a lot of weird puzzles where you have to look at things a certain way too.
True
And I forgot about God of War 1, where it kind of works like Mario 64 in a way, where you really gotta look for the thing that you gotta throw the axe at.
Yeah.
So little weird logic puzzles like that kind of trip me up too.
Gotcha.
And Sekiro, the last boss took me an entire week to beat. It was just
it was brutal.
Yeah. The second state issue or whatever like that, it just took me forever. And when I finally beat it, I was like, I'm never playing this game again. I loved it, but I'm never playing this game again.
Chat, what's your hardest boss? I will also say Johnny and I probably agree on this. One of the most disappointingly hard bosses was Surge 2. You come into this area, the guy in the machine. Do you remember that guy, Johnny?
Yeah.
And I remember facing him being like, what the hell is going on?
Wait, do you mean Little Johnny? The guy with the machine that has the tentacle looking.
Yes, that guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He smoked me, man. I don't know what it was. Every other boss I was fine. But that boss,
there was something about it.
There was something about what he did where I was just like, he's just smoking me, man.
And then you know what's funny? I saw a friend do it for the first time, and she did it first, second try.
Yeah.
It's one of those things it just didn't click for me.
Or you have a weapon that's just at odds with whatever it is.
Yes.
You don't think
that
about
could
it.
be as well.
I remember in Monster Hunter World when I was reviewing that, I was trying swords or whatever, but I was by myself, and I switched to the hammer, and it completely changed.
Yeah.
The moment I switched to the hammer and hit him on the head and it knocked him out, I'm like, are you kidding me?
Right.
Because I spent 19 hours on the same guy, not 19, but you feel that way. And sometimes you'll get a game early and you'll be like, I have more than enough time. And then you're playing it and you find a boss that you're like, I don't have enough time, at the exact same moment. Yeah. People are saying final boss of Metal Gear. Final boss of Metal Gear.
Metal Gear.
Which Metal Gear?
For me, actually, it would be the final boss of Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, which is President Armstrong.
Senator Armstrong.
Senator Armstrong. Yeah.
He could have played pro,
But that was because I played the game on extreme difficulty, and I was insistent on getting S rank, which meant I couldn't get hit once.
That is very hard.
So that took a long time to do.
What about you, Reg? Reg played, what was that one? Devil May Cry on the newbie mode? Yes. That was awesome, yes. That's
Probably
great they had that.
Yeah.
That is so great.
No.
Is there any that you, have you ever put a game down because a boss is too hard, Reg?
For sure.
Do you...
or generally, if I, for example, don't know where to continue, if I get lost in a quest, whatever number of reasons that if there's a certain level of frustration, I'm going on to the next game
But
that
bro,
actually entertains me.
you beat Pathfinder.
Well, that was a great game.
That game had some hard ass messages, man.
Oh, yeah.
Not only hard ass messages, but it was broken. Yeah, also.
True. At one time, I thought my save game was for good corrupted, but
Yeah.
luckily I got out of that. Yeah, no, I usually if there's a hard boss or something, I try for maybe 10, 15 times. But if I can't get it past 10, I either activate the cheat engine and get past it that way, or I move on to another game.
That's fair. Somebody said I didn't read Lasercat's super chat, which I thought I did, but he says, "Sup, my friends, great work, great community, glad to be a part of it." Sorry about that. We probably jumped to something
We're
else.
glad to have you, brother.
Yeah, for
Cheers,
sure.
man.
Oh, we have a ton of new people in the Discord. It's ridiculous. It's been awesome to have a bunch of new people in there because these old people are so boring. I'm just joking. We have a great time. It's awesome. Gave up on Dark Souls and Sekiro. If I die 20 times, I'm done. Yeah. I mean, I see nothing wrong with
much.
that.
Yeah.
And maybe return to it on the PC where there's mods, you know? If you want to experience Sekiro you know, the fiction, I think that's awesome. And there's nothing wrong by changing it if you want to.
Easy mode for Souls games are available. Play it on PC. Slap a trainer or a mod on it, and then get used to it. Get used to it. Enjoy the story, and then maybe you can come back to it later. Once you know where all the good shit is, you get the timing right, then you can play it. But yeah, I highly recommend playing it on PC. Just slap some mods or trainers on it. You know.
That's a good point. It may also be that it's Karak, just that it may also be that formula is not for you, because it really hinges on using deaths as a way of learning and progressing, right? And every death is like supposed to teach you and stuff like that. So if you aren't able to sort of persevere, and that's going to be really annoying for you, maybe just try, or play other stuff.
Dude, Johnny Sifu, I think, did it right, man. And so that's, I think I can say, so I'll be covering that. But Sifu's coming out.
We played Sifu in a preview, so we can talk about how cool the combat
Dude,
system is. It's definitely cool.
Fucking amazing. So when you die, and it's so awesome because, like the aged Sifu, the aged teacher being slightly more frail, but doing more damage. Great. Yes, and you're starting to buy skills, but there's this like teeter-totter moment where you're at your most, probably. And then if you die again, now you're doing way more damage and you've got more, but now you have less hit points. And that thing starts dude, it's also, I loved, what's the open world game? Not True Crime, Sleeping Dogs. In Sleeping Dogs, you took somebody to an item and then a special thing happened. What happens in Sifu is it just sort of knows where you are, and you can bounce people off the craziest. I mean, and I had people going like, dude, you're a really good player in Sifu. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty mediocre. It's just that the game makes you look like a badass because it gives you skills that aren't necessarily super hard to pull off. You just have to not get hit and not let them come back. Because when that's another thing they do. If you hit a guy and you don't knock him out, he has a chance. There's a modifier chance of him becoming like your nemesis, a momentary nemesis. You'll see this like yellow fire on his head or something. I remember there was like some glowing thing.
That.
Yeah, and yeah, because now you just made a mini boss in your little section that you.
So you really gotta like when you know that you're applying pressure on one enemy, like you really have to be cognizant. Like, okay, I gotta keep on that person. Otherwise, I'm gonna break the flow and I'm gonna fuck up the entire fight for myself. Yeah, it's really, really fun.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait for people to get their hands on it because I think that's I think people will find out that's something special for sure.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Sleeping Dogs. There's not a lot of games with good hand-to-hand combat fighting. Outside of like boxing games and fighting games. It's surprisingly sparse. And I love environmental kills. It's why I still remember the Punisher game after all these years. So
one of my favorite games of all time. The Punisher game had you kill the guy. The shark would take his head off. You could put the dude's eyeball through the tusk in the museum.
One of the greatest games ever made.
One of the greatest games ever made. And whenever I bring it up, some people played it and some people haven't. I'm like, you don't understand, man. Like it was way before all these other games, and it sort of came out. And you don't really hear, other than people who played it, you never hear somebody picking it up later and being like, that's awesome. Where maybe you might see that on other titles. There's something about that game that. It was next level when we first played it. You're just like, oh man, it was brutal. I wonder what the rating on that game was.
I don't know. It was definitely more violent than anything I'd ever seen at that point.
That thing was ridiculous. When the shark
awesome.
takes his head off and you can like see trachea, you're like, that's got to be a high level. Let's see, Lewis, $5 super chat. Shout out to Cal State Fullerton, Gene.
Hey, yeah, Orange County.
Excellent. It's a travesty that Sleeping Dogs never got a sequel. Yes, it is.
Yep.
And it never will. I don't think.
Yep.
What do you think about Saints Row, Gene? Have you seen any of the previews on Saints Row?
Yeah. I saw the first Saints Row reveal. I saw a ton of gameplay. I'm looking forward to it. I know that people thought that the art style was cringy, and I get that.
Okay, right.
The great thing is that you can customize your characters, you know. So like the nerdy people that look nerdy, like you can dress them any other way. So I'm excited to do that. The only thing is that their marketing sucks. So you know, so there's that. But you know, you're gonna be able to do El Pollo Loco type like drug runs in fast food trucks across the border. Like I'm super excited for that.
I love those kind of games that you're just doing crazy shit, and it's pretty open with it being over the top.
Exactly. Like that's why Crusaders Kings 3 CK3 sounds interesting, because like, oh, you can just sell like other people's children.
Yeah,
that sounds incredible.
And you can.
Like, you know.
Yeah, I love those kind of games, especially if they don't take themselves too seriously.
Exactly.
When they start taking themselves seriously, like GTA 4 did, I know that the story in GTA 4 grabs a lot of people, but the actual gameplay, it just wasn't very fun. It was like dire. It was like depressed. It looked awesome, but I didn't have as much fun as I did in GTA 5. 5 was fun. There was something that was really enjoyable about it versus 4. There was a title here that I wanted to ask you about. So I think I saw this from Eugene, and I just want to verify. If we're brothers from another mother, is Uncharted Lost Legacy the best Uncharted game?
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome. Dude.
Well, when I played it, I was like, I think Chloe is the reason why I like Uncharted.
Claudia
Black,
Black is
great. Like every time she's in a game, it's like, this is my favorite Uncharted ever, you know? Yep. So she's awesome. Like the open world stuff was so great. Uncharted 4 was great, but like the pacing was just so awful. So that's why Lost Legacy is just so much better for me, you know?
Yeah, I can't wait. I don't know if you probably heard this as well. There's a lot of people who never played Lost Legacy. They felt it was DLC or whatever. And that's why in the review, I was telling people, I'm like, I mean, I do believe Lost Legacy is just a better overall game. It's truncated a tiny bit. It is shorter, but their combat, even in the starting rooftop battle when it's you and Nadine, and which surprised me that Nadine, they used Laura Bailey as a voice actress instead of the girl from Battlestar Galactica, which is what her physical model was. Maybe she didn't have time. She might have been working on something else. But they were doing the fighting, and it just was slick. It looked awesome. Where you like break out of a fight, and Nadine flies over you, and it's like, wow, and you're just like, this is sweet, man. And when you're climbing all the locations, they had a extra, even though it's 1 year older, I didn't expect, it looks better.
It looks better.
Yeah, like I don't know what sheen they put on Lost Legacy, but when you're climbing in the huge valley, you're climbing up the statue and you're like going all the way around the valley. I was like, man, this looks better than almost anything in 4. Like there's something about it. So yeah, I figured you were. Are any of you guys gonna play Lost Legacy? Silver, Johnny, Reg?
Yep.
Reg is okay.
I think so. Yeah.
All right.
I have to figure out if I can actually get the upgrade, because I have you know, like that trilogy collection, and I've bought the games in one or more ways. So I wouldn't want to buy like the full collection for that price.
Yeah.
Just to play this one. That is the only one I haven't
FYI,
played.
if you have either of them and you buy the bonus, you get both new games upmastered.
Okay.
Just a heads up.
Kind of like what they did with Spider-Man Miles Morales, and he was like, oh, here's Spider-Man remastered. Okay, well,
yeah.
you know,
So
right.
So people in our Discord have already checked that this morning, and they were getting both games. So even if you only have one, if you buy the upgrade, you just get both, which is a pretty cool deal. And I'm surprised Sony didn't announce that from the mountaintop. I'm not 100% sure why their upgrade system is so clumsy. I've talked to them a couple times and been like, guys, Man, that's the one thing you need to fix because it's confusing for you guys. And
Something weird about the way the PS5 reads PS4 files.
Yeah.
Like it just can't like they just can't communicate with each other like completely. Not the way the Xbox
Oh,
Series
yeah.
or PC games do, you know.
yeah.
And it's so annoying. I hate the fact that it's just two separate apps on the PS5.
So do I. And
I
it
was
can
just
be
checking the PS5 website, and yeah, in the text, in the long text below it, it says if you own one or both of those games, then you get the $10 upgrade.
Yeah. And that's been verified. It's sad that they didn't really go out there and say it because it would have been easier. Some people think of Lost Legacy as like we saw in our Discord. Some people were like, I can't believe they're charging for Lost Legacy. And it's like, listen, you can upgrade for pretty cheap and get both. I think Sony would have done better with that marketing. It would have been much easier. There should have been a way for them to move. I mean, at this point, for them to fix all this, and they haven't yet. So I don't know. There's like Gene said, it's obviously a technical issue because all their games have the full download thing. You know, it's like you got to wait for this. It's on PS4 version, PS5 version, which, by the way, I played for a little while thinking it was a PS5 version, and I was playing the PS4 version. I got email from Sony reps who were like, hey, by the way, if you see this, you're playing the different version. I was like, oh, God, no wonder the game didn't look that good.
Yeah, they had that issue for a long time after launch. Yeah.
Let's see here. What else do we got? Any particular news you guys wanted to hit for sure before we go to free games and indie game of the week? No? Okay.
Well, we had the first, the game developer union.
Raven Software.
Right. So I thought that was interesting to mention. So Raven Software, which is a part of Activision Blizzard, admittedly a small part, but it was interesting. I guess I wanted to broach that as a topic for Gene, because you know a lot about the stuff, and you guys in the room. Like, do you think this is the start of a trend where we're going to start to see these more everywhere?
I think you're going to see a lot of it. One thing you can see Activision Blizzard doing when they sent out that email about Raven Software moving QA and embedding it into different teams. That is definitely a classic union busting tactic.
Union busting, yeah.
I'll tell you a story from my newspaper days. This is how companies will get you if you're a union, because at my old newspaper we were a union shop, so it was like you can't fire anyone that's like too old, right? It's someone who has too many senior years in service. But the company really wanted to get rid of our cartoonist, the guy who does the comic, the political cartoons, right? But he's been working there for 40 fucking years. So it's like there's just like you can't fire like 300 people and then like get rid of him finally, that's just not gonna happen. So what they did is they got around it and they turned the cartoonist into his own unit within the company. So he was the cartooning unit. And then they shut down the cartooning unit. So like they're not like laying him off. They just shut down the unit. So there's just no job for you anymore.
Yeah.
So then he lost his job. So like that's the kind of thing that companies will do to like kind of like reorganize to make sure that like split you up or like get around some of that stuff. So it's pretty clear that I think Activision Blizzard is trying to head that off too. And Microsoft has no unions. Phil Spencer told me that he has no idea what the fuck unions are, because he's only been at Microsoft for the last 30 years. So I mean, we'll see, but it's definitely that I think you'll definitely see it in smaller studios. But it's gonna be an uphill climb if you're gonna see it in bigger stuff. But the fact that there's so much coverage about it, it's interesting, and I think part of that is coming from the fact that so many of journalists are unionizing too. So I think a lot of journalists are kind of getting familiar with the concept of unionizing, and they're interested in that and they want to report on it. So that's kind of like what you're seeing right now. I'm actually an old union head. I used to be vice president of the Hawaii Newspaper Union. So I've been in that game for such a long time, and I don't want to do it anymore. It's all volunteer work, and you do whatever. So so like I'm in a union at the Washington Post, but I'm not like heavily involved. I just support them.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to see a lot more coverage of that, because I think like a lot of newsrooms are unionizing too, and there's just a lot. You're just going to keep hearing more talk about it for sure.
It's also worth noting that they've actually, I think, been on strike for like the last 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
The the QA team at Raven.
You know, Reg, Johnny, do you guys do unions where you work?
Yes.
No.
Well,
But I mean, sorry, you both in one.
I am not actively a paying member now.
Gotcha. Johnny?
But
No, I am not.
Go ahead. You said but, Reg. Sorry.
yeah, but we do have collective bargaining, so I am under a union
nice.
negotiated contract.
Yeah, you benefit from the contract. Yeah, great.
The reason why I was bringing it up is because for ours, what would happen is this was about, I think, probably 7 times in my 13 years where you would, a new company would come in, they'd buy the contract, and they'd make you reapply for your old job.
Mm-hmm.
And that was how and it was so often that you would like get all the paperwork from a company, you would reapply. Sometimes they'd lower your wage, sometimes they wouldn't. They were always shifting people, though. They were always trying to get rid of somebody who was an issue or whatever. But then the moment you'd get comfortable with like this new leadership, a new company would buy the contract, because we did a contract every year. Where it was open to the bid was open to everybody. And so you'd like work for a company, then another company get it, another company, then you go back and work for the old company, and then you go work for a company. And it's just this revolving door of bullshit. So, but I'm happy that they're able to, create one. I think it's awesome.
There was a discussion about that a couple of days ago in Discord. So I had looked it up for Austria, where I am. And 98% of all employees are under a negotiated contract, like union company. Basically everyone.
America used to be a heavily union country, and then it started to fall aside, and then it's starting to kind of come back again. So
yeah.
Hawaii is a very heavy union state, so that's where a lot of my familiarity comes from too. So
gotcha. Yeah, it's cool to see them do that. It is uncool to see the changes, but like Gene said, it'll probably be a while, and people report on what they're experiencing, which I think is what Gene was saying, is like, if you guys are also dealing with it, then you hear about it in the game industry. So it's like easier to report. Now you know a little bit from your own, your own background as well. So we'll get more reporting on it too. It is always in the news, like for my news, video game news, almost every day somebody's like, they should unionize, these groups should union, and it's like, I mean, it's brought up pretty much every time the version of crunch even start. Like, you even hear crunch mentioned. Usually you hear something like that mentioned. So, yeah, it'll be cool to see if that how they're supported. Let's see, what else we got here. Oh, actually, I did write something down here that I wanted to ask Gene about. Okay, so Gene did a top 10 list. Now, Gene. Gene.
What's up?
First of all, Lost Judgment, number 6.
Yeah.
Amazing game.
Yeah, great game.
Great game. Deserves to be a little higher, I think.
Yeah.
Because here we go. You got Hitman on there. Stunning game. But you have Halo Infinite as number 1.
Yeah, I really like Halo Infinite. I've soured on the multiplayer for sure, though. I don't fucking play the multiplayer anymore. So.
Okay, so we are talking about. I call that Halo Infinite. Like, that is Halo. I assumed that's what you meant.
I enjoyed the campaign enough, and I fucking love Halo so much that it's enough for me. I played the campaign last week, and I was like, I still love this campaign. This campaign's still great.
Really?
But then I played the multiplayer, and I was like, yeah, I'm over the multiplayer. Like, they really need to fix. Like, they really need to do something else on because I'm just bored. So.
But you think Hitman 3 not above Halo?
Yeah, because I'll play Halo more.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'll just play Halo more. That's all.
And you'll just keep playing the campaign and going to teams.
I just enjoy playing the campaign over and over again, because it's a Halo game. Like I play Halo games over and over again. I still play Halo 1 to this day, to this year.
What is your favorite Halo?
It's Halo 1. I still think Halo 1's better than Halo Infinite. So,
So
Wow.
I think Halo 3 is better than Halo Infinite. I
think Halo 3 is great too. Yeah.
That game was awesome. It was just interesting to see, because you had pretty much you had a couple I've never even heard of. I had to look up one. It was higher up in your list. But seeing Lost Judgment on there was awesome, because I think Lost Judgment, it was an incredible game, but because it wasn't like Deathloop where people were arguing, right? Because it wasn't like Infinite where everybody was waiting because we saw the beta and we were like, oh shit, this is not going to turn out well. And that turned out well. Lost Judgment sort of got lost I mean, and so I didn't see it on a lot of lists, and I would definitely put it up there. Yeah, I would.
I've been saying like RGG Studios, and we have also in our news that Nagoshi, the director of Yakuza and Judgment, is starting his own studio. I've always argued that RGG is at this point almost at the level of like Naughty Dog in terms of like cinematic story, in terms of like almost a tech, the facial, the acting, the scripting. It's just all there, and then people just need to discover it. If people love drama shows, like Lost Judgment are great drama, like make for great TV drama.
Did you, when you were playing, did you play Like a Dragon?
I did.
What do you think what did you think of the turn-based versus the Yakuza?
I always thought of the Yakuza games as like a brawler-based like Final Fantasy game, and I hate to even bring up Persona, but like they were kind of like Persona games too. Right. I always felt the Yakuza games were basically RPGs, because you're walking around the streets and like you'll get a random battle. Goons will come up to you and jump you. That's a random battle. Yeah, within the open world map. So I thought it made complete sense for Like a Dragon to become like a turn-based RPG. Do I like it better? Not necessarily. I am always like I like real-time battle more than turn-based. I grew up on turn-based games. I played Final Fantasy 1 and Dragon Quest 1 way back in the day. I love those games. I can still play turn-based now. But if you're going to give me a choice between turn-based and real-time, it's always going to be real-time, like 100% all the time. Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Yakuza, I'm always going to choose real-time over turn-based. So, but, I mean, the turn-based was fun Like a Dragon, but I had more fun playing Lost Judgment. And I watched Shang-Chi. I remember watching Shang-Chi, and I was like, man, I'd love to play like a good martial arts game. And then Lost Judgment came out. I was like, this is it right here.
Not only that, but the one positive towards Like a Dragon, which I didn't like as much as Judgment, the turn-based does allow for you to see the awesome stuff. So when you're getting your butt kicked by 10 guys, you can't be like, let's watch the crazy animation. You do see it out, but it's tangential. It's on the side from you dodging. What I loved about Like a Dragon is you dress them up as something, and all their skills change, and you're just like, this is crazy. Like the amount of work, and the fact that if you attack a guy, but he's moving because they're all dancing, if that person moves around somebody, you may not hit that attack, or the guy may hit you. And
I kind of like that RNG. That factor.
That's exactly what it was. It was RNG,
Yeah.
in that type of game, which isn't done very well normally. But I would wait, and I'd be like, okay, I gotta wait. You'd wait till the person comes around. You're like, okay, now I think I can do it. It was awesome. I still like Judgment and Yakuza's battle better. Ramming somebody nuts first into a light pole sold me on Yakuza, because everybody was telling me about Yakuza, and I looked at it, and I'm a Shenmue fan back in the day.
Yeah.
And I was always like, oh, it just looks like their idea of Shenmue, and for whatever reason it never grabbed me. And then somebody showed me, I think it was somebody like grabbing somebody and throwing them leg open into a light post, and just being like, what the fuck, and playing that the first time and being like, this is awesome. And then the story is drama and goofiness in that Japanese way, but like Judgment had some creepy stuff going on.
Yeah, and you beat the shit out of kids, which I love. As soon as I threw a child into a window and the window glass shattered, I was like, I fucking love this game so much.
You're beating up kids. You're chasing the ghost around in the school late at night.
Yeah, that was creepy.
Oh, that was creepy. I remember going like, is it a ghost? Is this like going to be the Grudge? And dude, I could talk about that game forever.
I still remember the quest where someone ate the cake in the kitchen. And they did like a whole mock trial to find the culprit who took the cake.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that's them. In the hostess hotel things, it wasn't Love Hotels. It was just the hostess. But they put all these things together, and these side things that you can do. They really are like full-fledged, unbelievably detailed games. The amount of stuff you can do.
I want to talk about the hostess bits for it. So have you gentlemen ever been to an Asian hostess bar before? No. I have. I grew up around them because I'm from Guam. So I basically grew up around these types of bars and clubs where there are just beautiful women drinking and talking to you all the time. It is bizarre how accurate these games get that culture.
Really?
Yeah, it is absolutely bizarre how much of it is just completely accurate, and it's just like, oh my god, like the men that go into these places,
Yeah.
the way the women act, the way the women are fighting with each other, and like there's all this interpersonal drama like within the bar that you have to like deal with, like as the hostess manager, like that shit happens because I used to date a hostess bar owner. She was the mama son. Like I was like 23 and she was like 37 or whatever. So like I always had to like hear her like fight with all these girls, like saying like, hey, like you look too fucking ugly, put some more makeup on or whatever like that. Like how are you gonna attract any guys?
Wow.
And then like we go shopping for like their dresses and stuff like that. So like when you start doing that in the game, I was like, oh my god, I'm like literally like living like my early 20s like through this game. Like it is absolutely insane.
I looked at your
for me,
Instagram.
there's a strong personal connection between like me and the Yakuza games, because I also love karaoke too.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I have absolutely been the sad Asian man at the bar singing to myself. So to see Kiryu do that,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the game for me. This is like my video game. You know?
Dude, I'm a tech guy, so I remember I was playing, I think it was 0. And it was the first one I played, it was 0 or 6, and I went into one of the stores, and like every carton was high res, Naughty Dog level. You know, I think Naughty Dog does a great job of texturing, which, you know, no matter where you're looking, it's usually high. And I remember walking in there, and there was just thousands of noodles, and walking around the store looking at stuff and just being like, are you kidding me? Like this is, it's, and I get that it's not, the entire world actually isn't even close to that level. Some parts look pretty terrible, but when you start walking down the street and the glitz and glamour, because I have been to Vegas hundreds of times, and that's what it reminded me of, except smaller, just one, you know, one or a couple tracks, and yeah, it's so good. It's so good.
The convenience store brand that they have there, Don Quixote, that's a real store brand in Japan, and the stores are exactly the way it is. Like it's just random shit everywhere. There's like no rhyme or reason on where you get the shit. Like you look for what you need, they will definitely have it, but you got to look for it. And then you buy it, but they will have everything you need in that store. You know,
I love them, man. I can't wait to see what they do next. I know Lost Judgment. There's a worry that because of the actor and his idol company or whatever, that we may not see another one, which would be really sad.
That's a bummer.
Really sad. It's big time. Hey Johnny, what questions we got in the Discord?
We can go there.
Okay, actually, you grab them. Let me do the free games for Reg and then the independent game for Silver. So Reg. Are there a lot, or are there?
No, this is a very short list.
Because I think games for Xbox Gold, people were teasing this morning. Like it was terrible, I guess. So
okay,
there we go.
Hydrophobia is the most notable release on that list.
Nice.
Which is like, okay. So
on the Epic Games Store, we have Demon X Machina.
That's an okay game. Really, really fucking boring. So, but definitely worth trying. So
selling it well. On Xbox Game Pass, we have Taiko no Tatsujin, the Drum Master. That's it for Game Pass. And what did you say? Xbox games with gold?
Yeah, somebody was this morning. They were saying Sony's games and Xbox's games were terrible.
Yeah,
well, I mean, there's.
I saw Sony's had Tiny Tina, the DLC, which was already released as part of the Borderlands 3, like
gotcha.
PS Plus, like years ago. So it's like you're just getting the same package twice, you know. And then Xbox comes out and it's like, oh yeah, Hydrophobia. So it's like, okay, clearly like Game Pass is like the baby here and not like the gold.
Yeah. Nothing else on there, Reg? Or you got Epic?
No, nothing that's... Well, Epic was the first one.
Oh, wow, that was it.
Out yet. Yeah.
This is a lean month. You know what, though? Maybe they just know that February is so gnarly that they're just like, let's just...
Yeah.
I mean, February, there's a couple coming, but...
I'll tell you what, for old school From Software fans, if you like the Armored Core games, check out Demon X Machina. It's really, it's kind of boring, but like if you really want like the robot customization stuff, like it's there. So
I love how
if you feel too much energy, then
Jen sells it. If you're tired and can't sleep, if you have insomnia, play.
If you have long COVID, play either Demon X Machina or Assassin's Creed Valhalla. You know,
exactly. Play the end half of Valhalla if you can't go to sleep, and trust me, you will.
Play Wrath of the Druids. That'll put you to sleep. So.
That was the one I was looking so forward to, and I heard it was pretty boring.
Yeah. It's awful.
Silver, what do we got for indie game of the week?
We have a detective game called Strange Horticulture, which is it's kind of reminiscent of Papers, Please, only sort of more mellow than that. You basically inherit a flower shop from your uncle, and then customers will come to the flower shop, ask for a particular plant, and then you have to find the plant in the shop. Like go through your botany book, identify it through the clues, because sometimes the customers won't know the exact name of the plant. Sometimes they'll just describe it, or sometimes they'll give you like the Latin name or whatever. And you'll have like a rough outline of the plant in the book. And so you have to try and figure out which plant is the correct plant and make a guess, an estimate. It's really, really charming. It's like the detective investigative aspect of it is really, really interesting. You also have a cat that you can pet in the game. You can also venture outside of your store to quest a little bit and unlock new plants to find and detect and whatnot. And yeah, it's just it has sort of a Lovecraftian aspect to it as well, because if you fail, like if you guess correctly, you'll lose sanity and you'll slowly start to go insane. Whereas if you guess correctly, at the end of the day, you'll get like a tarot card that might offer you clues for where to find more plants and stuff going forward. It's just a charming, nice little chill little game with a very, very nice sort of Victorian aesthetic to it that I definitely recommend people take a look at.
Excellent. What do we got for questions, Johnny?
All right. We only have 3 questions tonight. So this one from Jesus Crust. Sup, just the tip. I've been replaying Horizon Zero Dawn and started up a new game plus on the hardest difficulty thanks to Silver. He singles you out. Oh no, he says, and other people in the Discord. And I hated it, right? The increase in the economy and damage you take made combat a chore and not nearly as enjoyable to me. Has there been a game where a mode or difficulty turned you away from playing, and why?
Yeah,
Dude, straight away, Death March mode in Witcher 3 was
Oh, was
like
yeah,
the
that's just not
enemies.
It's just not fun.
With the enemies with the bloated HP.
What do they
come
do?
on.
Just sponge it?
Just sponge it up.
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
there
everyone just
were
turned
other
to
things, but
Redanian
yeah.
guards all of a sudden. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that sucks.
A basic dude with like no skills. Like, come on.
So games
Yeah.
with basically broken difficulties or broken modes.
Yeah, see, I love Death March, but
Well,
let's see.
you are special.
Well,
for this
it's
kind
it's
of
fun
thing.
if you like
Yeah.
if you're like really able to like min-max the potions and everything like that. Then yeah,
Yeah.
like it's like because I did that in Witcher 2. I played Death March Witcher 2. That was such a pain, but like I did have fun, like really like considering my inventory and my potions for that. So I did feel kind of like a Witcher in that regard. You know, you always see Geralt drinking the potions in the show, and it's like, okay, well, you know, I forget that I always used to do that on Death March. So
I'm trying to think of broken modes in games that are like just. I mean, I think. I'm trying to remember ones that were just stupid. I mean, the thing is most of them are stupid. Like that, it would be more difficult to find one that was good, because most of them aren't. They have something that I don't like, whether it's, you know, I know one game I'm reviewing that I can't talk about the name, but their difficulty does change strats, you know, strategy. Oh, no, I was going to say Halo, but then I was on good difficulty. Oh, you know, Gears of War. I'm going to be honest, man. If you crank Gears of War up, it sort of sucks balls.
Gears of War 2,
right.
Gears of War 2, the Gears of War 2 was shit on the hardest difficulty.
Yeah, that is a game.
It was not designed well.
It was not designed well. Yeah, Gears of War. I think it might have even been 2 that I'm talking about, but I remember we played it and we were like, it's not. It wasn't that.
It was definitely 2. It was definitely 2.
Was it 2?
I just played 2. I just played 2 like a couple weeks ago. And I played on the hardest difficulty. I was like, oh yes, I remember this bullshit.
Yeah, and I remember it too. I remember playing and just after a little while, we were expecting a Halo style, and whatever had occurred wasn't, and it just didn't feel like the finesse was there to be as difficult as it was. And at that point, you're like, "Man, I'm not going to jump in." Reg, you got any? I mean, you quit games if they're that hard.
Exactly. So I was gonna answer slightly differently, not with difficulty mode, but with games that just have shit difficulty built in. And the classic I'm thinking of is the one we played, the Moth Boss, for example.
Oh my God! Remnant from the Ashes?
Yeah, Remnant.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. Which is a terribly designed game with its boss fights.
Jesus.
And with developers that are in complete denial why the difficulty was what it was.
Remember that butterfly boss we were stuck on?
I remember everything about that game.
Oh my
in
God.
the worst possible ways, man. The attitude that I got, just being like, dude,
no, it's not the ads that made the difficulty. Yeah,
and
bullshit.
being told I should have rated it higher because they didn't put microtransactions in, and I was just like, what fucking world are you living in? That makes no sense. Like, yeah, they told me that. It was a developer in a forum was like, you should have given us why didn't we get this because we didn't have micros? And I'm like, it's what the game is, man, not what it's without. Like, what that makes no sense. What the fuck are we talking about right now? It was in denial. It's not the ads. It's not the ads. Everybody was like, it's for sure the ads. We're not being jackasses. We like the game. Fix the ads. They don't work right. And they finally, I think, touched it up. But that game I will always remember as being the worst.
Dude, the bosses were just not good, actually.
No,
in
that
that game.
guy can suck dong, man.
The moth can suck,
I hate
and
guy.
And not only the ads were a big problem, it just hinges on the ads so much. But the final boss, without spoiling it, the final boss was just really poorly designed as well.
Lasercat sort of adds to this, Johnny. He says, ha, dudes, I thought I was the only one that was blown away by some of those bosses. No, you weren't.
Yeah, it's just not good boss design, in my opinion.
Yeah, they were.
We still had a good time.
We had a great time.
Co-op,
but remember my DMs to you guys when I was playing it alone before you guys got the code? Yes. I've never been so mad in my life. And I'm a good, like, when it comes to shooters, as long as I have time to play it.
You're a competent player.
I'm very competent, and, I'll score, I'll win matches in whatever game, usually at least a couple. That game, I remember going like, I can't get around the corner. The start is here. I went around one corner and tried to go around the other, and I died like 40 times. What the fuck is happening? Yeah. And they patched it prior, which was awesome because when we got to play and it was adjusted for people. I think that's another thing game companies have difficulty developing a game that works in co-op or 3-person or 4-person, and they think extra enemies is the instant answer. And you're like, it's rarely ever because your location may be set up for one person. And so if you add a bunch of enemies and your guys and you have, let's say, friendly fire on, well, now you're like, now it's becoming impossible.
It's got to be the whole design. It's got to be the whole design.
It's got to be the whole design.
Top to bottom.
Let's see. I was raging with some of the bosses, Lasercat says. What were you saying?
Just for my part, it would probably be Mass Effect, the first one. Like the insanity difficulty. Yeah, the insanity difficulty in that game was not balanced right at all. Because there was, enemies were spongy, sure, but the real problem was the skill called immunity in the game that basically gave you temporary god mode. And so enemies, like by the later stages of the game, nearly every enemy had this ability and they would spam it. So they would have a period of like 15 to 20 seconds where they were basically invulnerable. Particularly like the Krogan, like you basically could not shoot their health bars, and if you were playing soldier like I was, you also had the ability, so you were basically just both of you
trading
just standing
there,
shooting perpetually bullets into one another without anything happening.
And the best part of that is that
hoses.
The enemies were using the same skills, which I love. In fact, I will bitch about this all the time. When an enemy has a spell I don't have, but they're a 7th level mage and so am I, I'm like, come on, guys. There has to be some fiction that's connecting us. And when you get that where they're sharing your skills, you're like, this is great. They're sharing. I'm seeing the enemy do what I'm doing. And then you realize that like something like that's popping up in a game where they have, mana bars or energy bars that are super high. It's just, it's fun.
Yeah, because that was the other thing. Like enemy doesn't really overheat their weapons all that often. And by the late stages, you can get your assault rifle to the point where it never overheats, where you can just fire it perpetually. So yeah, you're just standing there like perpetually auto firing into one another, like with nothing happening
Dude,
by the end game.
I remember playing number 1 and going into number 2, and those jackasses changed the entire ammo system. And it was so frustrating to me. I was just like, why did you? I mean, I get why they thought it was a good idea. I don't know. That's a series that progressively wore me down. What other questions we got, Johnny?
Next question from Spoons Abbas. Did I say that right? No, Spoons is a boss. There we go. Hey, Karak and friends. I have been listening to the podcast and reviews now for about 5 or 6 months. Really enjoy the content that you guys put out for us, and the Discord has been a nice feature as well. My question, if this is possible, I am a fluffy individual. Fluffy, I like that. And I wanted to get an ACG shirt. Any chance you can work your magic for larger sizes? 6XL. If not, no worries. I'm used to disappointment. Lol.
I'll check. I don't know.
6XL. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I know that they have triple, but I don't know if they have anything above that, but I'll check. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard for me to find a store locally where I can get one. Yeah, I'll check. Can you... Well, I'll go in and I'll find his name and everything. But yeah, I can definitely check. I don't think it's a hard ask. It's just probably won't be from the store that I have online. Because I think they go to 3 or 4. They go to Walmart. That's the sizes that they have is Walmart sizes, which are pretty big. But a 6X is bigger than those, I think. Yeah, I'll check for sure. What else you got?
So last question. This one from Molotov Michelle. With Microsoft dipping into NFT already, do you think Nintendo or Sony will follow suit too? And she links to a reference article where Microsoft is apparently doing funding for NFTs and stuff like that.
I mean, I think it's possible Sony will. I think it's unlikely Nintendo will.
Nintendo will never do it.
Yeah.
Nintendo will never do it. They
in
won't
20
understand
years when
it
they
anyway,
realize
so.
it's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys are so high right now. I'd love to work for them. Just, I don't get high, but you'd get a contact high because whatever they're smoking is amazing.
Nintendo?
Yeah. Dude, they're so, I mean, and they've done well for themselves.
Here's the new revolution in gaming. Cardboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
just like
they're probably
like
rolling
hotbox.
up the
It's
cardboard
incredible.
and smoking it.
Yeah. They're just hotboxing and just coming out with all these crazy ideas.
Dude.
And they're lucky that the Switch worked. So.
Yeah, man. It's the craziest company I've ever seen. But NFTs, I know that one for Microsoft was actually Microsoft, not Microsoft Games. It was Microsoft looking at NFTs. I think everybody will have some kind of input because a third party's gonna do it. And they're going to want the third-party game on their system. But I don't know if Sony is going to do it right now. Sony needs, and Sony knows because you can tell when they're talking about their stuff that they know that the public awareness is around certain things. I would assume that they're not actively going to be promoting any NFTs on their own. I would assume. But
Yeah, definitely not yet.
Yeah,
definitely not yet anyways.
Square, Ubisoft, those guys are totally possible. Like Square, I'm surprised we haven't seen, Outriders armor or something with NFT. And
Avengers,
Final
Marvel's
Fantasy.
Avengers armor, yeah. Spider-Man NFT, come on.
FIFA dress.
And you
NFT.
gotta collect them all because it's one for the leg, like one for the arm, and one for the body.
Yeah.
It's so terrible, man. Gaming is supposed to be awesome, and you get into those things, and then everybody gets caught up in that. And they don't talk about the game. It's so easy to lose.
That's what I hate about this news cycle, man. Like I don't want to cover NFTs, man. I want to talk about games, man. I want to talk about what makes games interesting because there's still a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
NFTs is not that interesting, So.
No, NFTs are terribly boring. In fact, it's the problem and the positive. There's a positive that people are making money, and I want people to make money. I'm happy, but not happy that it'll be in games. If you want to make money on an NFT that you make and it sells over here, that's fine, but once it starts infecting game design, and by the way, I'm not making shit up, man. I've talked to devs. We've had devs on here even who said one of the reasons why they didn't like achievements was because it can infect game design, where somebody's like, oh, is 100% trophy? And it does. It absolutely does.
It does.
And if that, which has no value at all, you have that, then Xbox has got their gamer score and achievements. Sony's got trophies. And then now we're adding microtransactions, and now we're adding NFTs. The entire reason for game design is adjusted. You know, another thing I hate, and I know people love it, and I love the idea of it, but I hate early access. And one of the reasons why is because if I want to cover a game, usually no one's going to want to see it. Like Project Zombioid, 13 years later, whatever the fuck. That thing's been in development for more than that.
Jesus.
Star Citizen. Dude, my kids will be my age when Star Citizen finally comes out. And if early access and all that shit was gone, yeah, I want to play the games. I like the idea of devs being able to do more. I think that's great, but fuck, I hate early access.
Well, I think also the mass is the issue, because it's basically every game or early access is the norm now instead of the exception.
Yeah, and how many times have we seen, man, where that promise, it's just like NFTs, where somebody's like, you can buy virtual land, and you find out, in my reporting, by the way, I made sure I was accurate. More than 80% of games selling NFTs have no game yet. None. Zero. And that's not what I want. And the same thing happens sometimes with early access. They'll show something like a cool Starfighter. You'll go in and they're like, we don't have Starfighters yet. You're like, well, bitch, that's what your trailer was. Like, what are we talking about right now? So I think that's false advertising. But nobody else apparently thinks so. Gene, before you go, because I know you are probably getting tired of listening to us. What's been the biggest game to you in the last like 5 or 10 years? Like maybe it can be the most fun, the coolest announcement, or the most excitement, or even the biggest disappointment. What's something that sticks in your mind in these last 5-10 years?
Oh, wow. I guess off the top of mind, I guess in terms of impact, I guess it might be Fortnite. Just the way it changed the whole like battle pass business perspective, and also opening the door for conversation into the metaverse. In terms of quality, I think of Hades a lot. I know journalists love Hades, but I'm also one of them. As one of the best games of the last 5 years. And I, of course, obviously go back a lot to Zelda Breath of the Wild. One of the more interesting conversations I've had, I went to a VR conference in San Francisco, and there were just a whole bunch of VR developers and VR executives, and Breath of the Wild just came out, and the Switch was selling like crazy. And they're like, it's just like the VR industry just being like, when can we do that? Right. Where is our Zelda? Because this game is moving hardware, and like we need to move hardware, and we just don't have our Zelda yet. And Half-Life, like Alex hadn't come out yet, but even when Alex came out, it's like, okay, that's not going to do it,
Yeah, right.
As incredible Alex is, don't get me wrong, it's a fucking incredible game, but I just didn't see it going mainstream either. And I do think of like, it's interesting that Zelda has been kind of like that talking point, at least for a while. So
yeah, it definitely was. Any for you guys?
Yeah, I don't know, 5-10 years now.
Yeah, I mean,
Dark Souls is my favorite game in the last 10 years. Like
really,
just bar none. Like, yeah, Dark Souls is just my favorite, like probably my favorite video game of all time.
I remember you said in your writing, listen, guys, I play Dark Souls to relax, and Returnal is hard. And I remember being like, because you get those people who are like superstarred Returnal supposedly. Yeah, and you're just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah. Why is Dark Souls your favorite? What happened with Dark Souls to make you go like, this is my favorite game in the last couple years?
I love adventure. It would probably be Zelda if it wasn't Dark Souls, but Dark Souls is like like the best Zelda game that I could want. The fact that you can just like go anywhere, do anything. It's got this great story that's telling it through environments. The gameplay is so engaging. Like for me, like I value games that really let you experience things through the gameplay. I love The Last of Us. I love Naughty Dog games, but like I'm not like such a huge fan of like just straightforward narrative games. Right. Which is why like the Guardians game, again, like I can recognize a great story, and I did, but like I would like the Guardians game better if I felt more connected to what I was doing in the game, other than just kind of like painting over and going blip 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 over the bad guys. And Dark Souls has that real hard connection to the world and to the enemies and to my items and to my character that I just can't get anywhere else. So like that for me is like relaxing, and also like just doing runs of Dark Souls, like where I know like where I'm going, like that's just relaxing too.
And you're good enough in those games, it sounds like, that you don't die unless you push it.
Yeah. When I die, it's because I wasn't paying attention, or
Yeah.
like I'm just tired or whatever like that. But otherwise, like I'm just kind of like running through the games, no problem. Like, but there's like that little bit of engagement with of combat where like I'm still getting engaged. You know, like another game, a relaxing game for me are the Resident Evil games. You know, I love resource management. And that it's like stress relieving for me. And Dark Souls is a lot of stress resource management too, especially with the stamina bars and everything too. So just little things like that always like make me feel like really engaged with a game. And Dark Souls is my favorite game.
It's interesting. Anybody else's in the last 10?
I mean, it's a difficult question, at least for me, because it goes to like what are the metrics? I mean, if we're just talking,
it's a very wide open question, yeah.
In terms of like a game, like systems wise and stuff, it would probably have to be Breath of the Wild for me, just because I don't think I've ever encountered a game that had such a breadth in the scope of its systems for what it simply allowed you to do in terms of your creativity and setting limits. And it's also one of the most, I mean, one of the most brilliant things about that game is seeing how people who have never really interacted with games before or very often interact with that game, and the stories that they get from the stuff that game actually allows them to do, because there are very few sort of gates or like invisible walls or that you hit in that game like there would be in other games that really sort of elevate that game to something really special.
Yeah, it's got its own logic that people can grasp on. So like it kind of reminds me of Half-Life 2 in a way, where like you're understanding physics and you're like, oh, I get this now, and I'm understanding the scope of what my power is and what I can express. You know, so yeah, Breath of the Wild, absolutely.
Are you okay for time, Gene?
Yeah, I'm okay, man.
Okay, Johnny, what's yours?
So really quickly for me, it's a no-brainer. It's been the MOBA genre altogether. So you know, from Dota 2, I played it,
baby.
Well, I played it when it came out, right? Like, what was it, 2020?
Yeah.
No, sorry, 2012.
2012, yeah.
2012. I played it when it came out. I played like another like smaller one, Heroes of New Earth. Now I'm playing League, and they all have this core that's like meditative for me. Like I entered this sort of focus zone, and no game, even Dark Souls, as much as I love it, it does have that quality. But it's not the same level, right? That dance when you're last hitting and you have all these things in your head about the strategy, where you're gonna go next, all this stuff. It's like chess, but in an RTS, like dynamic, right? And yeah, there's just no game has impacted me in that way.
Reg?
I'm gonna go with RimWorld for me.
God, I would assume so, right? Because that one you've got a lot of hours in.
Well, for my sake, anyway.
For your sake, yeah.
I'm not someone who usually plays games past 100 hours or more than that, let alone thousands of hours. But the RimWorld, with its emergent storytelling, it's one of the most standout games to me. Every playthrough, I never made it off planet, not once. Like I never actually succeeded at the game.
Amazing, yeah.
But still, every attempt was still worthwhile, because of the different ways it always fails.
For me, it's not even my favorite game. So I grew up playing like Elite and playing these games that were bar shade. They weren't even colored shading. They were barred, like Akabeth, which is prior to Ultima. It was Richard Garrett's crappy hack version of Ultima before it came out on a Trash 80, a TRS 80. And I had... whenever I saw Space Game and something was, you know, you go to a little dot and it gives you some readouts. And I remember that, especially now, No Man's Sky, technically wise, is the most crushingly amazing. When you look at it from a tech standpoint now, not on release, even though if they had promised only the release stuff, we still might even be talking about it. But now, freighters, you know, underwater cities, it's beyond belief. It's so crazy that it's hard to actually wrap my head around that there's planets, millions of them, no one's ever been to. And you can do everything. any other game out there, you can probably do something quite equal to that on No Man's Sky, whether it be flying, driving around, submersible, riding animals. And every animal's unique. That means if I go to a place and I jump on an animal, that animal, unless somebody's been to that planet, might look differently on some other planet, might look a certain way. And it's mind-numbing. And I was just looking over it a couple days ago thinking that the next iteration of that, whatever that may be, and I'm sure somebody's going to do it, even with No Man's Sky right now, I hesitate to look at a game that's going to be more immersive to me because it's going to be very difficult unless they fix the storytelling, which isn't good in No Man's Sky. If they find a way to procedurally generate stories that sound good, and GPT-3, which is the AI, they're making headway on that. It's like, what is that going to do to an RPG where, remember, Radiant Quests was Morrowind the first game, or was it Oblivion?
I think Skyrim was the first one with actual Radiant.
No,
quests.
it was either no, it was I know for a fact. Well, it was Radiant AI in Oblivion because they have the trailer where he shoots the dog because it kept barking, and he's like, "Shut up, dog," and they got in trouble for it. And that was Oblivion because they had glow face. But I was just wondering if maybe Morrowind didn't have it, but Radiant AI, Radiant Quests, and then Skyrim, you go to an inn and you can buy the bounties, and I thought those were real because they were terribly written, and I don't like the writing in Bethesda games. So I just thought they were. Sorry to the writers, but I actually think Bethesda's writing's fairly terrible. And so when I was playing it, Skyrim, I thought that was real. I thought somebody had wrote all those. And I was like, there's thousands. And then found out that was like a procedural generation. It looks at where you went. Once they add that to No Man's Sky, man, like that to me is a game. And it's VR now, fully VR capable. And I have every VR headset there is. Even the expensive ones.
I think that's why Starfield has such a huge task ahead of it, you know?
It does. It does.
Yeah.
They started out, and remember when Elite said we're just going to have flying? And I remember people like, look at Star Citizen. Star Citizen's got everything. And now Elite has added almost everything Star Citizen was going to add, except for major cities. And, dude, No Man's Sky just needs a little bit more. But it's mind-numbing. If I had talked to myself as a kid and told them about No Man's Sky, that would be the dream I used to, when I was sitting at home, I used to think we might come to. And it's fucking nuts. The tech, it's absolutely insane. I just wish they'd had another year. I wish they'd given themselves another year and hadn't blown that out of proportion, because it will always be remembered as the game that, you know, didn't hit. Just like Cyberpunk. If they patch Cyberpunk, it doesn't matter. Afro Samurai got kicked off the PS Store, and so did your game. That's how bad it was. It was as bad as Afro Samurai 2, which was like a fucking digital STD.
People remember that first impression, you know? Yeah. As a longtime Assassin's Creed fan, I keep telling everyone Assassin's Creed Unity is a great game, but everyone hates it because it had such a terrible launch.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, I get it, you know, I get it, you know.
But it is solid now.
It's so super solid now, you know. It's a great game.
That's my favorite Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, it's my favorite too. So
yeah, it's definitely made some headway. I played it when it first came out, and that was like fucking what? Like that was especially because of their content prior. It's the same way with Witcher and Cyberpunk. You know, like that depth of quality, especially the polish, you're sort of questioning it. You're like, how did that happen? Because I think a lot of us say if somebody has the time, they'll release a good game, and that's not always true.
No,
you know, it just depends. Gene, I want to say thank you, man. This is the first time ever I've had nerves getting somebody to come on the show. Your stuff's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, I told my wife last night. She's like, "What's wrong with you? You keep pacing around." And I'm like, Gene's coming. We got Gene to come on the show, man. And she's like, I don't know who Gene is. And so I had to show her stuff, and she's like, I still don't know who Gene is. And I'm all, just be excited. God damn it. But dude, yeah, it's awesome, man. I absolutely appreciate you slumming it with us. You
honored to be your first guest. That's incredible. I did not know I even had that distinction. I love your channel. I've been watching it for God knows how long. I have no idea. Like I've been watching ACG reviews for how long,
and haven't left yet.
Yeah, I still use you as like kind of my go-to, you know. I'm just like, I need to find out what he thinks first, you know, before anything else, you know.
No, I appreciate it, man. It's awesome to see your stuff, and it's so crazy to. I don't even remember the first thing I saw, but like seeing your AMA, and when I was coming in and I saw that, it was 3 years ago, and just being like, oh, dude, he knows where it's at, and it was very cool to see your part, and then start watching your stuff and start reading your stuff, and You are one of the few people. I was telling my wife, I was like, there's very few people that when I do go back and read something, even if they disagree with me, a lot of times they don't have context. This game is boring. And I'll be like, well, why the fuck is it boring? Like, I need to know. And you're one of the few people that when you write something, I pick up instantly. And when even your tagline for the Guardian stuff, I was like, oh, I absolutely understand what he's talking about.
Yeah,
even
the headline. Yeah, like if you get that, then you're like, oh yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah, and then everything you wrote after that was all, you know, I was able to look at and go, okay, he's providing context here, and you, dude, you're an awesome writer, and it's very cool. And I think gaming as a whole is absolutely better because people like you are out there, you know, looking at this stuff and covering some of this. Even though you don't want to cover NFTs, you'll probably have to at some point. But it's been awesome, man. I absolutely appreciate it. I want you to come on as many times as you want to come on. This is awesome. It's been
welcome me back anytime, man.
It's been an absolute
happy
pleasure.
to be back.
Johnny is streaming what this weekend as we close this up?
Yes, so I was gonna do Mass Effect 1, but it doesn't launch on PC. It's totally broken. So instead, we'll just do some Monster Hunter Rise on PC, which has been quite nice.
Gotcha. And Silver, are you going to stream, or are you going to put up your videos soon this weekend, or will we talk about it next Friday?
Yeah, I might. I mean, knock on wood. It depends on life interfering. I would like to.
Okay. And then,
by the way, just because I'm like the worst marketsman for my stuff, but I have a video dropping right after this.
Oh, good.
About persistent worlds for co-op. You know, like in State of Decay, each person has their own world, and how I would much prefer if, you know, it was like a shared world where everybody could impact it. So it's sort of like a vlog about that.
Okay, cool. Excellent. And then Reg, doing nothing. Are you streaming this weekend, or are you going to play any games, Reg?
Who knows?
No clue. And me, I've got reviews. I'm going to be doing those. Hopefully, I'll do a walk in the walk for some of the games we have. That's my plan. It's going to be a super busy time. I do want to say thanks to the brand new patrons, thanks to the old patrons. It's been amazing to see a bunch of new people pop in. I'm not 100% sure why. Maybe your decision making is terrible. Who knows? Maybe COVID's driven you insane and you've decided to join the Patreon. I don't know why, but you're there, and I appreciate it. Thanks to these guys for always showing up every Friday, too. It's weird. Like, I don't know why you guys keep coming back, but you do, so that's all that matters. Anything else?
Like they would say
always in front of the computer, and we click every link. So
yeah,
when you send
every link that's sent, and you get the invite each Friday, and you're like, fuck, God damn it.
It was this thing again.
It was this one.